Are your boxes graded according to fit?
Yes, they are. Yes,
Gone round and give it what for?
We get something like £4,000 for centre box, whereas we get £3,000
And this is a double size one?
This one.
You've got two different sizes as
That's
well.
right.
So
Yeah,
it's just
this is
somebody
the
wanted to
match day
stir
sponsor,
up
which
trouble. I mean, Joe's been absolutely great about it, but I don't know what it.
Do you have to learn all that from scratch, or is this from a standard bank of knowledge about how to market it? I suppose there's knowledge coming up.
No, bloody Pat Conway, and he's still got the Portsmouth match which we've got to get off him. When you're ready, Dick.
Right, we've got the red light. We're rolling. Yeah.
Good afternoon and welcome to Blundell Park. That was a very familiar saying last year. And who would ever think, after 2 seasons of really struggling, that we would be in for a season. You can start that fucking lot again for a start.
I'll start on your red light. Still running.
Good afternoon and welcome to Blundell Park. That is what I usually say, and who could imagine after 2 years of struggling that Grimsby Town would have such a great season. Probably their greatest season for 40 years. And to talk me through some of the earlier games is the Grimsby Town coach, Peter Grotier. Peter, we started off the season with a few friendlies which was just the basic of trying to get the teams together, and then the real stuff started against Shrewsbury. Would you like to talk us on that one?
Yeah, as you say, the early games were important, with Chris Nichol coming and sorting a few new ideas out for the club. We started to get them right, and Shrewsbury came here, always a very difficult side to play against when they come away from home, because they sit back in numbers and hopefully try for a draw. And the game was 0-0 at half time, and a very boring game. And then Kevin Drinkle come up and scored our goal for us and put us 1-0 in front, which should have won us the game. And then a boy McLaren picked a ball up just inside our half of the field, and from a shot from nowhere he just lobbed it high in the air. Nigel come for it and it bounced over him into the net. Probably a mistake that Nigel will never forget, really. But it's things that happen to goalkeepers, and it happened to him. It doesn't happen very often. So in the end, really a disappointing result.
Well, after that it was away from the league, and we went away to York City in the Milk Cup, and we suffered our first defeat.
Yes, we did. We can look back now and say probably it was a good result for us. York getting promoted. I think they got over 100 points this season. And we go there, we battle away, and we get beat 2-1, Wilkinson scoring a goal for us. And in the end, as we'll see later on, it became a vital goal for us.
Yes, that's quite right, Peter. But then it was back to league action, and the game, of course, was in Wales against Cardiff, and we couldn't cover this game because it was shown on television in Cardiff, but we have got a couple of clips to show from it. And, well, it was a disappointing result, to say the least.
Yes, it was disappointing. After going in at half-time, 1-0 up, super goal really by Joe Waters. They come at us and we give away bad goals, and it was a very, very bad result for us. It took quite a bit of sorting out leading up to the following game, which we'll come on to. But overall, it was a very, very disappointing result for us.
Super.
I'm just breaking so that we can break them
Yeah,
up to
super,
each chance.
yeah.
Right. Well, Peter, the next game, of course, was the match I suppose all publicans like myself and a lot of the fans dread. We have that lovely supporters from Leeds United here. Luckily it was a night match, so the FA had done the business, and it turned out to be a very good win for us.
Yes, it was a good result. The club made it an all-ticket game, which also curbed the hooligan side of the crowd that come along, and it really was probably, looking back on it, one of our best performances of the season. Kevin Drinkle latched onto a mistake by a young lad in the Leeds defence, and he hit a screamer of a goal into the top right hand corner. And then in the second half, Joe Walters wrapped it up with a penalty for us, but all in all a very satisfying result.
Yes, I agree with you, Peter, very much. And then of course that was followed by the one of the glamour teams of the second division, especially with the Messiah himself, Kevin Keegan, and Newcastle United.
Yeah, Newcastle come here with high hopes, the same as what we had at the start, but obviously in a bigger way, being a bigger club. No chop on they've got so far.
When's that?
August the 11th.
Ian. That's my first job, is it?
Okay, well,
Hey.
it's running. It's up to you, lads.
Well, what about the cutback from there? From the
Okay.
break? I'll do the Leeds, Pete. Okay. And then we come to the Leeds United match, Peter, which I must say that the FA did their own work from the other seasons, because as you know, as a public and I dread Leeds United fans. But everything turned out well for us, both on and off the pitch.
Yes, and a satisfying result it was for us as well. They curbed the hooliganism as well by making it an all-ticket game, which did reduce the crowd. But we put on a fine performance. Kevin Drinkle picking up a loose ball from a young Leeds United defender, and he really hit a superb ball from just outside the box into the top right-hand corner. And then in the second half, Joe wrapped it up with a penalty. And looking back on it now, probably was our best result of the season.
Well, after that came Newcastle United. Newcastle, of course, was one of the favourites to go up, one of the glamour teams, with, of course, KK himself. And we didn't do too bad, Pete.
No, that's right. Newcastle was the club everybody was talking about at the start, plenty of money, and they came here with high hopes. And in the first half, Mickey Spate scored our goal for us from across from the right hand side, and then, as you say, the man that was banking their hopes on this season probably done what he is good at, got onto a ball just inside the box and tucked it away into the corner of the net, and it ended up a draw. I didn't think they deserved the draw. We was far the better side, and the shirts they wore as well I thought was a disgrace.
Absolutely, I couldn't agree more. I mean, I have never ever seen in my life any team playing a strip like that. I mean, it was just unbelievable, and of course in the end it was I thought they was very fortunate to get away with it, Pete.
Yes, they were. It was I say a good performance, and one that we really should have run out winners on.
Come sit down, Philip.
Well, I don't know if I want to sit down here, I mean, fucking staff are here and all that, you know what I mean?
Should I give him a mention about that wicked header of his before we start?
What one?
The header that
That's why you're a fucking publican, non-professional footballer.
Come on.
I'll meet
Can we
it,
just start this York one? I can't remember
Yeah.
Drinky's injury time equaliser. Was it a header?
Yeah, it
Was, wasn't it? Both goals were headers.
both of them in this.
Yeah.
Who are we going to first?
Me
Pete?
first,
No, after you and me.
and Pete, then we're going to go round.
Okay, that's right.
Well, after the Newcastle result, it was back to Milk Cup action, and it was against York City, Pete, and we was 2-1 down, and up to 89 minutes, it looked as if it was really going to stop that way. I'd like to do that again. Well, after the Newcastle game, it was back to the Milk Cup, and Grimsby were 2-1 down against York, and were playing the second leg. And after 89 minutes, the result looked as if it was going to stop that way. But Peter, what drama!
Yeah, that's right. Very dreary and drab game. York came here and they defended well, and all credit to them. They was 2-1 up. And as we said earlier, promoted side, 100 points, so it was a difficult game for us, although we didn't realise it at the time. And then, as you say, 89 minutes, and he's ticking away, the referee's looking at his watch, and Kevin Drinkle pops up with a header, superb goal, to put us into extra time. And once again, Kevin Drinkle comes in again with another header to give us the winner. And looking back on this game again, we can see that that was a fine performance by us to get through to the next round.
Well, then we went on to away matches, Peter. We, as last season, we weren't very good on our travels whatsoever, and but at least we went to Middlesbrough and we got a point. And I'd like to bring Joe in on this because he was instrumental in getting the point for us. Would you like to give your thoughts on that game, Joe?
Yeah, an interesting game from our point of view, because in that game we played particularly well. Again, as we were prone to do at that time, we gave a goal away and went 1 down when we should have been 2 or 3 up. And again, it was missed chances from our point of view. But then we got a free kick, I think it was a minute before half time.
That's right.
And I sent the goalkeeper the wrong way with a chip off one of their defenders.
Well, Peter, well, that was one of Joe's chips. You've seen him play golf. That was one of his typical chips. But in actual fact, it was a complete deflection, which goalkeepers of your calibre have no chance.
That's right. You look at it, and in the end, you say, yeah, it was an own goal.
Good goalkeepers stop them.
Yeah, but Joe's claim, no, it was a vital goal for us, because all the lads said afterwards that they could at last see a pattern appearing from the way we'd tried to set our stall out at the start of the season, and to have lost 1-0, you always look back and say, well, was it the right way to do it? But we equalised, got a result, and they all said what a good team performance it was.
Well, I was a bit concerned with the first goal, which I thought that we should have closed down Segru, our friend Segru P. And but I thought in the second half we really deserved the 2 points.
Yeah, that's right. He took a corner and the ball got played out, and he was left all on his own after the corner, after the ball had been cleared, and he crossed the ball and we went 1-0 down. But as we said, we've equalised and we put a good team performance on, and we've probably gone on from strength from there.
Well, the next match, of course, was Fulham at home, and Fulham was one of the super teams of last season, but they'd been struggling a little bit, and they certainly didn't struggle after 5 minutes.
No, that was again another one of those games against the run of play. We started off again like a house on fire, attacking them, and all of a sudden, from a ball from right back, they went right through and scored. Davis, I think it was,
That's right,
that scored, and we're left again, to pull a goal back. From being in a position where we're dominating the game, setting it up for us to win the game, we've now got a hill to climb. But it wasn't the first time this season we've had one. We managed to do it and got a good 2-1 win in the finish.
Peter, your thoughts on that one?
Yeah, the boy Davis, in fact I think he was their leading goal scorer last year, scored lots of goals, and he really was struggling. And
This was his first goal, actually.
that's right, he caught us early on. We got caught square at the back and he scored his first goal of the season. but as Joe said, an uphill battle. We fought against it. Wilkie and Emo scored the goals, and we went on to win the game 2-1. Which again, looking back overall, it was another good performance.
Well, after that we was on the away travels again, and it was against our old enemies Barnsley, but this match was really something controversial, I believe. Joe, you was really involved in it because we was 3-0 down before the game had actually started. Well, I'd say after an hour, we hadn't really played. 3-0 down, we got one back, and then of course came that decision.
Yeah, but the Barnsley game, especially in the first half, was a game we didn't play in at all. We didn't perform. In the second half, we started to put things together, and we looked as if we were going to give them a bit of a game of it. We started very well, but then from nowhere they got a third goal that seemed to do us in. But as you say, we pulled one back, and then disgraceful decision by the referee. We were right through on goals. Paul Wilkinson, I think it was, and the referee, Paul, has only got a goalkeeper to beat, and the referee gives a foul against Barnsley, which was absolutely no use to us. Paul went down and stuck the ball in the back of the net, but he didn't give us the advantage at all.
And did you think that you would, I thought 3-1, and if that one had gone a minute later, would have made it 3-2, with half an hour to play. I thought we had them on the rack, at least a point was in sight.
Well, yeah, but if you'd been at the game, you wouldn't have said, just because it was 2 goals in 2 minutes, if that one had stood. It was the 10-15 minutes before that.
That's right.
That, we were dominating the game at that stage, and we got ourselves back to 3-1 kind of thing. And if that had gone in, they would have been flat. They would have been killed stone dead.
Well, Peter, you were sat on the bench, and how did you see it from there? Because I believe Dave complained to the referee afterwards, who apologised to him.
Yeah, that's right. The manager was very concerned about the performance of the referee, and after the game they both had words, and the referee did apologise for the decision that he made when we scored what should have been our second goal. But referees are that type of person. They have a hard job to do, and it just so happens that the decision he made was the wrong one, and it could have cost us really, I would think, a point in the end. But they had David Geddes playing for them, and on his debut from Villa, and he scored 2 goals. And as you say, we was on the rack probably for an hour of the game, and for half an hour we battled away. But really, all in all, I think you always make out of a game what you put into it, and for that first hour we probably got what we deserved. It was an uphill fight all the way, but then again the referee's decision didn't help us.
I agree on that, Peter. And also playing in that game for Barnsley was of course Tony Cunningham, who was later to feature in a very controversial decision later on, which we'll be able to see. But nevertheless, it was on to Manchester City. Manchester City relegated from the First Division, Glamour Club itself, and in my opinion, for the last half hour, this was one of Grimsby's finest hours. But unfortunately, it didn't do us any good, Pete.
In the last half hour was one of Grimsby's finest hours.
What did I say wrong? What did I say wrong?
In the last half hour, in my opinion, it was one of Grimsby's finest hours. I'll give a finest hour in the last half hour.
Oh, fucking hell. Bollocks of attack. Come here, you bastard.
Oh dear me. Sorry about that.
Nobody would have picked that up, one of you two bastards.
Right, we would.
Right, where was we? On to Manchester City, right. Ready when you are, Dick.
Okay.
Well, after the Barnsley game, it was away again to Manchester City, where once again for an hour we didn't really compete. But in the last half hour, Grimsby gave one of their finest displays. And we'll have to start that again. Remember that fucking woman doing that trolley? He looked at me.
Who did?
They go 2 up, don't they? From Kate
Yeah,
and Tom.
Kate and Kate and Tom.
No.
When he finished talking, big and on the road, you know. And the fucking camera. Oh, good.
We'll bring the gaffer into this one. He's looking over.
Ready? Well, after the Barnsley match, we was away again once again to Manchester City, where for an hour we really didn't compete, but in the last half hour we gave a performance which was worthy of First Division. But unfortunately it didn't do us much good because we went down 2-1. Joe, would you agree with that?
No, I wouldn't disagree with the fact that we didn't compete for the first half, because we played well in the first half. We defended very well. Drinky and Wilkie had a couple of chances early on that if we'd taken them, then they would have been rightly in trouble. But having said that, they played very well on the day as well, and they attacked us. We had a couple cleared off the line, and we went in at half time confident that we were going to win the game in the second half. But we came out, and within 2 minutes of the start of the second half, we went the goal down to a very bad free kick on our point of view, from our point of view, because it was bad marking. Caton came into the far post, and it was a tremendous header from him, but you've got to ask your defenders what they were doing at that particular time. Then we set about pulling it back. We equalised. Paul Emerson equalised, and then from a corner, Ptolemy scored from what looked an impossible angle. It actually went in between the near post and the crossbar, which if he could do that every week, he'd be the world superstar. But from then we rallied again and had another goal, but we just couldn't seem to get that elusive equaliser.
Well, you know, I said that I thought the last half hour we were really tremendous, Pete, and it must be disappointing to lose, especially with they were really 2 bad goals that the defence gave away. But there was a light beginning to show.
Yeah, that's right. We'd started off right from the very beginning to play a certain pattern, and all of a sudden, as you say, the last 2 or 3 games, things had started to show a lot better. And as Joe just said, they put on a very good performance that day. We'd gone to a club that had just been relegated, First Division set up, and all in all we put on a fine performance. We wasn't disgraced, but we ran out loser 2-1. So as far as we were concerned, it wasn't the result we wanted, but as you say, a pattern was starting to develop from our work early on in the season.
Right. Now the next one is the Coventry game, and
Yeah, I was sent on a meal.
was it?
Doctor sent me on a meal, yeah.
Well, because the Manchester City week, I've been in bed all week. So I had a chest infection all week.
By the way, when you're talking, look at the camera, not me.
Okay.
I know you're in love with me, but you know.
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah, right.
Well, after that disappointing result against Manchester City, but the performance, especially in the last half hour, was very encouraging. We entertained a First Division side who were absolutely going great guns. Coventry City. Peter, Coventry, of course, under Bobby Gould had signed a lot of really unknowns.
Yes, they had. He had signed players from lower divisions. One of them, a good friend of mine, Trevor Peake from Lincoln. And they came here really to perform defensively, and it just so happened that the game worked out for both teams the same way. Very dour, hardly any chances created through the whole game, and it ended up 0-0, and a very, very disappointing result as far as we were concerned, and obviously as far as the public was concerned.
Joe, you have any thoughts on that one?
It's very difficult to have thoughts on a non-event, to be honest. It was a complete non-event. a first division club came here and just did not compete or try to play the games that should be played. And on the night, we just weren't able to break them down. And as Peter says, from the public's point of view, it was a waste of money.
Well, after that it was back to league action, and a promoted side this time, Huddersfield Town. And once again it was a 0-0 draw, but it was a different kettle of fish as far as the game was concerned, Pete.
Yeah, probably one of the dark horses of the second division, Huddersfield Town. Again, the game finished 0-0, but compared to the one in the evening match during that week, Coventry City, a game full of incidents, high drama, and a fine performance from Nigel Batch. It was possibly a good thing for him to go back to his hometown and put in performance as he did. And it cost us, no it didn't cost us, I'm ever so sorry about that.
Why are you going so well? Just carry on, it don't matter, right? Start again, Dick. Where's the up to Coventry? Well, after the Coventry match, it was back to league action, where once again it was a 0-0 draw against Huddersfield Town, one of the promotion sides. But really, Peter, it was a different kind of a game and good value for money.
Yeah, Huddersfield Town, as you say, promoted the season before, and there was one of the dark horses really of the second division. But a completely different game to the one in midweek against Coventry, full of drama and incidents, and an excellent performance from Nigel in the goals. He'd gone back to his hometown of Huddersfield and really saved us a good point. And looking back at the season that Huddersfield did have, at that time it was a fine result to draw no goals at Huddersfield.
Well, I thought, Joe, at that time Huddersfield were really going great guns, as Peter said, and we had slipped up a little tiny bit, and for us to go there and get a point, I thought was really a good performance.
Yeah, at that particular time we were still trying to get our act together. Huddersfield had gone on from last season where they'd finished on a high note with promotion and what have you, and they were playing very well. They'd went to various places, got good results, and they were deservedly in the top 4 or 5 in the division at that particular time. We went there, set about our job, we stopped them scoring, and we attacked ourselves, and in the finish we were good value for our draw. They weren't particularly happy with the way we played at the time, but we'd been something like about 18, 19 matches without winning away from home, so you know, we were determined that we were going to put that right, and on that particular day we weren't far away from it. And hey, who was that?
I don't mind you ruining a video.
Mr. Alec King.
I don't mind you ruining a complete video.
Hang on a second.
Oh! We're only shooting, like, and I don't mind you ruining. I don't mind you ruining.
Is it your ruler?
We've just got to shoot that long
Wait a
again.
minute. What's this carded Waters penalty? Bad result.
No, we're talking that was a penalty they gave away. We said a long shot. Who was giving their goals?
No, we give yours as a cracker.
One of their goals was a penalty.
It's alright, I was just going to get you to fucking read
We don't mind you freaking keep it hold. Get it on hold. 27.
Yeah. We'd only lost them 3 games, didn't we? That's the...
Have we?
We were drawn a lot. We drew a lot now, haven't we?
I'll get it when you read.
We'd only lost at Cardiff and Barnsley, hadn't we?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was.
Okay.
Well, after the Huddersfield game came Brighton, and at this stage Grimsby Town and what the fucking hell are you doing? Back it up!
So this one is thrown at him.
Let's just get it.
He's got a styling on the other shoulder, Mel. It's a little bit off along your shoulder, isn't it?
Okay. Can we, Well, after the Huddersfield game came Brighton. At this stage, Grimsby Town had played 9 games, and had only got 10 points, and with 3 points for a win and 1 for a draw, it could be termed disappointing. But sadly, all this was put right, Peter, with the Brighton result.
Yeah, 5 goals in the game. What more could the supporters have asked for? Gary Land making his debut, scored the 4th goal. And young Paul Empson really had run the coloured boy Ramsey ragged through the whole game. The lad had missed the cup final the season before, and he'd been out injured, and he came back, and Paul Empson really did give him a chasing. And it was a very fine performance. Joe Corrigan had only recently come back from America, and we went on, as I say, and we won the game 5-0. Wilkie getting 2, Tony Ford, and as I said before, London Empson. But on reflection of the game, it was the type of game really that 5 goals really didn't
Waiting for it. I'm waiting for it. I know he's going to do it. 5 goals didn't what?
Oh, I didn't think we was deserving 5-0 winners.
Absolute crap.
No, I didn't.
There was a fucking great wind on which we paralysed them for 3-0 in the first half. Casey had a couple of shots all the match. With Gordon Smith playing, who missed that bloody open goal in the cup final, that could have took him into Europe.
Yeah.
And we paralysed them, man.
No, I didn't think we did. There's a tractor now.
Right, let's go again, Dick.
Do you know more about this game?
Okay, I'll go into Joe. I'll go into Joe and I'll come to you, right?
Yeah.
Say when.
When?
Well, after the... Well, after the Huddersfield game, after 2 nil-nil draws, I said, oh, fuck off, Pete, we're off. You started. We never had one slip up till you started, did we? You deliberately did it and you started now. If it goes on too long, we'll cut it for the day. Well, after the Huddersfield match, Walter's packing in. Pack it in.
I ain't done a thing, right, okay. Go on.
Well, after the Huddersfield match, we came back home to play Brighton. Brighton, of course, lost to Manchester United in a replay in the FA Cup final. Joe, it must have been a bit of a thrill to play against Manchester United. He's off. There's always a pillar. There's always a fucking pillar. If we're going to start fucking about, let's go. Let's quit the job.
Too early there. I was going to wait for it to come across to make sure it was empty.
I want this to go so we can go for a bite somewhere, right?
Okay, go on. Come on in. Right, we're off.
No.
Jesus, I've got tears in my eyes.
Yeah, kicking the bullets out of the way. Well, after the Huddersfield, after the result against Huddersfield, it was back to league action against Brighton, and we didn't play in the cup, did we?
No, where was it back to league action? I was just going to ask you that. You know?
I don't know why either.
Did the FA Cup come out?
Shut up.
You know what?
Shut up.
Oh, okay, let's go. Take 14.
Well, after the Huddersfield match, why did we play Huddersfield?
Just tell me, are they short calls or what? Because you keep calling them Huddersfield. Like, can't you say Huddersfield?
Joe, wrap it.
Or is it because they're short tits?
Talking about tits, you know, aren't you?
It's not about tits.
The red light's on.
You
I was going to say something there, but I won't say any more now.
Well, after Huddersfield, it was Brighton Athletic.
There's beer in that fridge, get it out.
Isn't it?
Yeah, it must be.
Tell you what, I fucking want. Right.
Nil-nil.
It's Brighton and Hove Athletic. Right, let's get that right.
After the Huddersfield match, it was at home then to Brighton. Brighton relegated from the First Division but also losing cup finalists against Manchester United after a replay. And Joe, really to play a team that has played in the cup final, it must have sent a little bit of shiver up you, but it didn't turn out that way, did it?
No, obviously they were a useful side. They were unfortunate to get relegated, I think. They had a very good cup run, and they came to Grimsby after beating Charlton the week before 7-0. So it was always going to be a difficult game for us, but we set out on a very windy day, wet pitch. We set about the job, and to me, Brighton were never in the game. From the first goal, they never had, I don't think they had a serious attack on our goals at any time. They had 2 shots from Jimmy Case, but they were from free kicks. Apart from that, Wilkie and Lundy ran Eric Young ragged. I mean, they played with 4 across the back in a sweeper, but they were never in the game at all.
And of course, Paul Empson had a marvellous game against Ramsey.
Well, I felt sorry for Ramsey. It was his first game back after missing the cup final the previous year, and I think if he'd had his choice again, he wouldn't have played in that match. I think it finished his career, actually.
Oh, it was a sad sight. Peter, talking about the Brighton game, it's amazing to think though that Gordon Smith, who played in midfield, he could have Brighton could have been in Europe if he'd have stuck that one away in the first match, and yet we go hammer them 5-0.
Yeah, that's right. A team full of stars, just come from a cup final, and it was a good performance by us. 5-0. Corrigan had just got in their goals come back from America. A good crowd pleaser. Really, that's all I'd like to say about the game. It was a good crowd pleaser. I wouldn't have said it was a marvellous performance by us, but even 5 goals, I suppose you could say, yeah, it was a tremendous game. But 5-0 against probably a really talented side.
Well, after that, it was home once again to Crystal Palace. Crystal Palace got stars in We're going to start again. Well, after the Brighton game, it was home once again against Crystal Palace. And Joe, you scored in this one. Would you like to talk us through this one?
Yeah, at this time we'd got ourselves sorted out. We were playing pretty well, and in that particular game I scored after about, I think, 3 minutes. As we'd done in the Brighton game, we'd scored pretty early as well, and it set us up to win the game. Tony scored a tremendous goal in the second half, marvellous strike. But they were never in the game, and it was always going to be a Grimsby win.
Peter?
Yeah, we had it last year when we done virtually the same sort of tape. London sides always teams that if you can get them under the collar very early, and Crystal Palace were no exception. They came here and we powered away at them, and as you say, Joe and Tony scored the goals for us, and a good performance again. 2-1. No?
2-0, Pete. I was Mr. Cool itself.
Oh no, I couldn't.
How far did we get onto that
I
one?
didn't want to come into that one.
Well, we can cut you out of it anyway.
Yeah, cut
Did
my
you
bit
reckon?
out.
Do you
Just
reckon?
go.
Yeah, there was a gap, I think, Rel, before.
Yeah.
You didn't have your glasses on before.
Continuity.
Yeah,
You got the job.
good job spotting that.
There's no picture there.
There's no picture.
Coventry.
Right.
See, second leg, isn't it?
Yeah. Wrong. Let's get some wigs. Where did you get yours from?
Wakefield.
Wigfalls.
Ready when you are. Well, after the Crystal Palace match, it was back to cup action. if you go.
You
Take that toy off him, will you?
Birds would be. Has he never seen a bird before?
I know it's your favourite programme.
Like a fish.
I'll stuff it right. I'll tell you what, no wonder he got a free.
So you can tell what this one's going to be.
Start the same
Coventry.
the same as I'm doing this for, like, is it? Coventry.
Will you mind switching the telly
It's
up?
got to be switched off. Oh, hang on. Oh, that's it now. Yeah. That's it now. It's off now.
Give it to me.
It's off.
Give it to me.
No, I want it for the battery, I do, honest.
You going to steal a battery?
No, I'm not. Shh. I want to have a look at it. Come on.
Well, after the Crystal Palace game, it was cup action again against the Coventry in the second leg. The first leg was a very dull draw, 0-0, but the second leg... What the fuck's happening? What's happening? If you don't switch that up,
Rather smart green.
I'll stuff it right up your ass. I'm not kidding you. Waters.
I've got a good idea. Go on, Dick, switch it off in the park. That's it, that's what you got.
It's a girl.
You realise they scored and then Chris got sent off with Gibbo, which had started over here.
Yeah.
Okay? Click.
Yeah.
No.
Kingy! Bugger off! Ronu! Ready?
Yeah.
Well, after the Crystal Palace game, it was a break from league action when Grimsby had taken 7 points from a possible 9, and it was Coventry in the second leg of the Milk Cup. The first leg had been a very dull door game, but Joe, the second leg was anything but.
No, the second game was the complete opposite, in fact. Very exciting game. We took the game to them very early on. We could have possibly scored 2 or 3 goals in the first half. Equally, they attacked us. I think they hit the bar, hit the post, and in the finish they went 1 up, and it looked like we were another mountain to climb. But Wilkie got a goal for us in the second half. Equalised from a corner kick, I think it was, after the ball had bobbed about in the penalty area. And then again against the run of play, they got the winner, or what proved to be the winner. It looked as if it was going to go into extra time.
But of course they ran out 2-1 winners, but the talking point of the whole match was the sending off of Chris Nichol, Pete.
Yeah, the sending off incident, it actually started when we played them down here in the first leg, no goals. There was an incident with Chris and the lad, Gibson. Apparently there was a bit of spitting going on. And it's not one of Chris's favourite subjects, spitting. And then with possibly only a minute to go, Chris unnecessarily got involved with Gibson and he got himself sent off. Quite unnecessarily. He had no need to do it, although after being so close and losing the game 2-1, obviously there was a lot of frustration, and he followed the lad probably half the length of the field and kicked him, and he got himself sent off, which means we was going to miss him later on in the season.
To you now.
Yeah, well, that was a break for you to cut, okay? Well, after going out to when I talk to my throat. Right. Well, after going out to Coventry in the Milk Cup in a most disappointing way, because I thought it was a really very good performance, we travelled to the baseball ground, and for almost a year Grimsby Town had travelled and never won, but this was to be our first win. Joe?
Yeah, again it started off very disappointingly for us. We went 1 down to the Davison goal, I think, pretty early on, and again we gave ourselves a job to do, but we managed to do it. But we played well on the day, We got 2 goals through drinking, and we fully deserved our win.
It must have been a relief, you know, the first away win for over a year.
Well, it was, because we specifically said that Derby was the game that we were going to win. We spoke about it all that week, and we said that we've never had a better chance to win a game. They lost a few games, they were having a bad time, and we felt that if we didn't win this one, then we were going to go a long while before we'd win an away match. And in the finish, it turned out a good win for us, and we celebrated in fine fashion in the Hainton on the way back, where we all stopped off for a drink.
Well, I needed the trade, and Peter, from the coaching side, it must be a great relief to get this under your belt, the first away win, and Drinky reckons he scored the 2 finest goals the world's ever seen.
Yeah, that's right. Just like winning, losing does become a habit, and for almost a year we'd gone to away grounds and we couldn't get the win that sometimes we did deserve. But as you say, it changed at Derby, going down early, and then Kevin Drinkle equalising with a long ball, flicked on by Mickey Spade. And Kevin said afterwards, he was in the box, just he was about to shoot, he thought he was going to be brought down, and he was brought down. The referee was about to give a penalty, and the ball goes into the net, and the referee gives it. Drinky thought he was going to stop the game for a penalty, but the ball's in the net and he's given a goal. And then something that he said he's not particularly good at, he's turned on the ball on the edge of the box, swiveled his body, and we've won the game 2-1. So going away from home and winning that one, yeah, an exceptional performance really.
Well, after Derby County, it's getting warm.
Yeah, I'm getting like that.
It's that thing, isn't it? Well, after Derby County was another away match, and it was away to Portsmouth. Portsmouth was to prove a bit of a thorn to Grimsby throughout the season, but this was our first encounter, and Joe, it wasn't very successful.
No, probably our worst performance of the season. Again, we started very badly. I always believe that you start a game properly, and we started from their kick-off. Batchy had to make a great save within 30 seconds of them kicking off, and to me that set a pattern for the game. The only time that the pattern of the game could have been altered was at 0-0 when I put David Shearer through. With the goalkeeper to beat, he shot over the top, and then they got their goals, went 2-0 up, and then the second half, same thing again. When we were pressing to get a goal back, David went through again, and unfortunately again ballooned the ball over the top, and they went on to score 2 more goals, and from our point of view, a very disappointing game.
Peter, I'd like to ask you, about a 4-0 defeat. Excuse me, as Joe says, you're 2-0 down, and then of course you've got to try and get one back, and you leave yourself exposed. Do you think the game should be played tight, or do you really think you should go hell for leather at them?
As Joe said early on, that the game set the pattern really by the save that Nigel had to make early on, and if you set your stall out the right way right from the start of a game, hopefully it will carry it all the way through. But always when you go goals behind, you tend to chase things and you lose your shape and you lose your pattern, which doesn't help matters, because you train and work all week on a certain thing to do, and if you try and change it halfway through a game, it doesn't help you one little bit. So really, if you do go goals down, then I would say, yeah, you stick to your same way, and hopefully it will come right for you, and maybe the goals will come, maybe they won't. But I think if you try and change your game halfway through, then I think you are asking for trouble. It's no good chasing it. You've got to work what you know is the right way to do it, as you work all week, and hope that in the end it will come round for you.
Well, in the finish it didn't come right for Grimsby, because we went down 4-0 with Haitley scoring 3, and it was David Shearer's debut of that match. Not a very good debut for the lad. I was in Spain at the time, and so I missed that match, and I also missed the Charlton game, with Chris out, Joe, we was decided to play Trevor Wymark as centre half.
That's right. It's a position that Trevor has played in for us before, successfully. And with that, we decided to play it that way. One of our better performances, but again, as we continuously did through the season, give people a goal start. We gave Charlton a goal start. Good shot from Robinson, but I felt that Nigel should have had it. It wasn't a tremendous shot. I felt he was capable of stopping it. But then we came back and won the game 2-1.
Peter, how did you see that one?
Yeah, as you say, Trevor Wymark played at centre half, and he thought that he played ever so well.
He's got a nose for money. Is that a pound nose? That's it.
What the bastard, man?
It was good going well too, that one.
I wanted to talk about that.
I've had this in my hand for ages and been sweating up. I've been sweating up on my hand.
Right, can you...
Don't cut Joe's.
Right. Hand over to me. What was you saying, Joe, at the end? Can you remember?
So it's
Yeah.
one of our better performances.
After we give him a start again.
Yeah, from the start. And
We've only got 3 matches. Well, let's 2 to go after this. Let's get rid of it.
1-2-1, and fully deserved to.
When you're ready, Dick.
You can go. Well, as you say, Joe, we did give him a goal start.
Well, Peter, as Joe said, we did give him a goal start, and I remember when I was in Benidorm and listened to the half-time results and 1-0 down, I thought, oh no, we've no chance. But I was proved wrong, and we came back strongly.
Yeah, we did. Trevor Wymark playing at centre half for us.
By the way, the lads in Benidorm send you the best.
Oh, good. Hope they sponsor me again next year if I'm still here.
Let's cut that again. Well, as Joe said, Peter, we gave him a goal start, and I was in the village pub in Benidorm, who are your sponsors, and we all thought, oh no, we're going to lose, but we was all proved wrong because we came back strongly.
Yeah, we did. It was an uphill battle again, as Joe said. We went a goal down. Trevor Wymark playing at centre half for us with Chris being out suspended, and he put on a superb display, really. Even our old friend John Kirkby mentioned in the evening paper that he thought Wymark should be playing for England.
He thought Joe should have been at one time.
Yeah, well, he has been known to be wrong. But, yeah, anyway, he said that Trevor should have been playing for England. I wouldn't have gone that far. But yeah, we come out and we won the game 2-1, and in fact Trevor got the winner for us. And from clawing our way back into a game again, another good performance. We've won it 2-1.
Well, things were going well for us in the league, and the day I landed back in England, unfortunately we was away to Swansea, and there's no way the wife would take a trip up there. But unfortunately I missed a great performance, Joe.
Yeah, another game that we played well in, we won. We set our stall out to win the game again, because another team that was struggling, we felt that we had to beat these teams. Unfortunately, the goal was scored when Jimmy Rimmer was off the pitch, and it was controversial because Rimmer went off with an injury to his hand, inflicted by a tremendous shot by, I think it was our number 4.
Joe Waters, I believe.
Yeah, it was him that day. Yeah. Cut his hand pretty badly, but he left the pitch with his goalkeeper's jersey on, and it took about 3 minutes for us to get his jersey back. And they were hoping that he'd be back that quickly, but a bit of gamesmanship on their point. But when the game eventually restarted, Kevin Moore scored for us, one of his rare goals, or his only rare goal this season. But we were never under any pressure at any time in that game, and won well.
Well, Peter, it's 1 goal, but it was still 3 points, and we was talking to Kevin Drinkle earlier, and he thought it was really good team performance.
Yeah, that's right. It's always nice to hear from a striker when he says that he doesn't mind running the whole of the front line physically if the team puts in a performance like that. And he's probably quite right, although I think a centre forward should put his work in whatever game he plays in. But we've won the game, as I say, a rare goal from Kevin Moore, and we're on the winning trail again. We carry on, and more points hopefully we're in the bag.
Well, that left us with the last match in November, coming up to the December month towards Christmas, and we played Carlisle. Now Carlisle, a very similar team to us, and Joe, you was very much involved in this. A draw.
Yep. Same old story again. 1-0 down in a game that we had no right to be losing, really. We played well on the day. Carlisle, a very difficult team to break down. Played with a sweeper, but with Drinky, I think, missed a couple of chances very early on that would have put the game beyond them completely. But again, we had to come back, and in the finish we got a penalty, and I was fortunate enough to score from it. But again, one of the games that we've got to look at and say that 2 points lost rather than a point gained.
Yeah, I agree on that, Peter. I'm trying about bum 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 bum. I should have brought you into that.
That's Joe.
I know. That's Joe and that's Peter. I reckon we'll still have time to cut that in. Do you reckon? Well, I'll give it a breath anyway.
I was pulling back, you see, ready for you to do
That's
it.
okay. We'll sort some of that on that. Just repeat that last bit for us, Joe, in case we can slide in. Just give a breath and then. You don't think you can do it?
He won't be able to do it.
Okay, alright, then we'll try that. And how did you finish? Tell
I
me.
finished off with 2 points lost rather than a point gained.
Well, I agree with that assessment, Joe, and Peter, really, Carlisle United and Grimsby Town are so similar in setups. Obviously a draw, I thought, was the obvious result.
Yeah, possibly looking at it that way, that was the fairest result. Two clubs, one up in the far north and the other one down by the east coast, seaside. Very small clubs in terms of the ones that were trying to look for promotion early on in the season. But they've both done their business, they've battled away, and both of them looked as if they was going to be there or thereabouts at the end. And it's interesting just listening over the few games that we've just done that we've come back from goals down. Probably in the 2 years before that, when we'd gone goals down, we would have sunk to the bottom and ended up without anything at all. But now it had come this fighting spirit into a Grimsby side that was never really lacking. It was just little bits and pieces that had to be sorted out, and they were. And from being in games where we would go goals down and lose games, we was now coming back to either draw them or win them, which was very, very satisfying.
Yes, I agree on that, Peter, because I remember many times we videoed last year and we thought after 25 minutes we was doing well, we went to go down and we might as well gone for a cup of tea. But this year, Joe, where did you see the difference on the pitch with that attitude?
I think, as Peter said, the will to win has always been there, and the aggression when you've got to go chasing a game. But we seem to channel it in the wrong areas. You know, people, instead of trying to win the match as a team, we're trying to win it as individuals. And one of the things that we sorted out after the first 6 or 7 matches was the fact that we were going to win the game as a team, not as individuals. And I think that is the thing that came out most in our play through the season.
Thanks very much, Joe.
Thank you.
Waters, Ford and Emo. Well, we beat 200, didn't we? Okay. it was, wasn't it? Yeah, no more. It's possible.
Yeah,
At least.
I've got places to go.
Yes, and I've got lots
people to see.
Okay, it's running round.
It's going now, is it?
Yeah.
And what to do after each one, just pause, so that if we do make a mess, then we can,
Well, after each game.
yeah, well, just give it a fuck, just give it a, okay then. Well, today we moved inside after being in the boxes at Blundell Park yesterday, and my guest today is Dean Crombie, and he's going to talk about the December results. And the first one, Dean, was where Grimsby Town made history. We played our very, very first match on a Sunday against Blackburn Rovers.
Yeah, that's right, Rolly. Sunday, a bit different for everybody, really. Nobody used to play on that day. It turned out at Blackburn that it was a bit of a struggle. We had a change side, I think, with Phil being substitute, and a good decision by the manager brought him on, and of course he scored the goal for us.
Yeah, it was a good point, really, but I was talking to one or two of the lads afterwards, and can you describe what it is like playing on Sunday?
Well, it throws your week out completely. You're sort of preparing, when it's a Saturday game, you're from the Monday. Whereas with the Sunday game, we had to use it a Tuesday as a Monday, you see what I mean?
Yeah.
And it threw us out completely.
The thing that threw me out, I remember travelling up the motorway, and there was no traffic, and it just doesn't seem like a game. And
It's not.
and did it affect your play, do you think?
I think it did, yeah, because everybody, like a normal Sunday, everybody would be resting after the Saturday game.
Yeah.
And having to force yourself to go out and work on a Sunday is quite difficult.
Perhaps if Dean could do what he was doing the other day, look at the camera and talk.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
when he's looking there, it looks like his eyes are closed.
Fucking hell, close.
5 seconds stop, and it's Oldham at home.
So to the camera.
Yeah, no, they kind of fascinated, but I know. Well, after the Blackburn game, we was home once again to Oldham Athletic, and it was quite an easy victory, Dean, 3-0.
Yeah, the scoreline reflected the game, really. We dominated the game completely, and scored 3 good goals from what I can recall, and thoroughly deserved the win.
Yeah, that's right, goals coming from Paul Wilkinson, Tony Ford and Mickey Spate, a rare goal.
That's
Good.
right, yeah. Spatey doesn't come with very many, but when he does, I think it was a good goal he scored.
Yeah, well, we'll have a look at that one. Here I go again. Well, after that very good win against Oldham Athletic, the next game was away to Chelsea. I was quite willing to go, but unfortunately my camera crew demanded danger money because they wouldn't go in the Chelsea ground, and unfortunately, Dean, we missed probably our best away win of the season.
Yeah, the victory at Chelsea must go down as the best game of the year, I think, really. 2 goals down after about 12 minutes, I think. The first one was a harsh penalty against Kevin Moore, but we recovered well, kept battling, and in the end we demoralised them.
Of course, Tony keeps telling me that his winning goal was something really special.
Yeah, it was a classic goal. If it had been on television, it would have been goal of the month. He picked it up on the right-hand side of the corner of the 18-yard box. I don't know whether it bobbled up or it flicked it up, but he hit it on the volley anyway, and it went screaming into the top corner.
Well, after that tremendous win against Chelsea, the next encounter was against another top side, Sheffield Wednesday, and it was on my 34th birthday, Boxing Day, and to me, Dino, this was probably the goal of the season that won it for us.
That's right. Unfortunately, I didn't play in this game because I'd been ill over Christmas. I went to the game and thought the way the lads performed and the results that led up to this game, that we were going to win the championship or at least get promotion. We outplayed Sheffield Wednesday at home, outrun them, outfought them, and in the end got just reward.
Would you like to say anything about the goal?
The goal, can't remember it.
You can't?
No.
Oh, we'll have a look at it, and I'll remind you, it was a long ball where Joe run out of defence. He gave it to Trevor Wymark, who flicked it on to Joe, who backheeled it, and
Wilkie stuck it
away. And I'm sure you'd be interested to see that one again, Dino.
Oh, yes.
You fucked that one up, didn't you?
I can't remember how he fucking scored. I can't remember for the life of me.
Now, John, what do you want to talk about this Cambridge game?
No.
Well, after that great result against Sheffield Wednesday, the next match was against, it's a team very hard to describe, Cambridge United. Cambridge, limited resources, done excellent over the last few seasons in the second division, but their ground leaves something to be desired. The quality of the film was so bad because we did it from a seat in the stands, and it was unbelievable. So we decided not to show this game, and we'll just talk about it, Dino, and it was a 2-2 draw.
That's right, it was a bit of a letdown after the other results we'd had the previous weeks, especially after the Sheffield Wednesday game. And really, we were outplayed in midfield by Tom Finney and Les Cartwright, both experienced players, and they really got a grip of midfield and set them going.
And of course, we was very fortunate in the end. Tony popped up with probably the last kick of the match to get us what was really. I think Cambridge deserved the 3 points actually.
Yeah, I would agree with you there, yes. Tony, he's got a knack of doing this, and the team's got a knack of doing this, scoring vital goals, right at the end, when we need them to get something out of the game.
Well, after that very fortunate point against Cambridge, mind you, I can't say I'm very sorry to see Cambridge out of the second division. At least it'll save a lot of climbing up scaffolding without ladders. We was on to one of our Welsh clubs, Cardiff City. Now Cardiff, Dino, as you well know, gave us a bit of a drubbing at their ground, but this time it was our turn.
That's right, yeah. When we played them at Cardiff, they really went to town on us, really. And after the first half at Cardiff, it was pretty good. Second half, they scored 3 goals, and they really outplayed us, and probably, apart from Portsmouth, it's the worst defeat we had this year. The Cardiff game at home was completely different, I thought, even though the scoreline was only 1-0. We outplayed them again, outfought them, outrun them, and in the end, a good victory.
Yes, I thought the scoreline didn't do us justice, but it was just deserved, and it was great to have a revenge.
That's it, yeah. It's always nice to beat teams that have beaten you previously, and the result at home, as you say, the scoreline didn't reflect on the game really.
And thank you, Dino, and we'll go into January now. We shan't talk about the penalty game against Cardiff in the first league, so we'll forget that one.
Desperate measures.
Well, we've already shown it.
Just wind this back and just check the sound.
I think they're about halfway up the league, weren't they?
It's now.
I don't know. We're having no balls on this. Right, Dino. So we've got Mr. Cecil D. Mills.
It's rolling.
It's what?
It's going, yeah.
Well, after Christmas, it starting any damn get after Christmas.
Cut.
Well, it was into the new year, and Grimsby were on a good run. And the first game in the new year was January the 2nd, I think, Dino, against Fulham at Craven Cottage. A favourite ground of mine, I love going.
Yeah, it's a nice ground, Rolly. The Fulham game again was a game where we went a goal behind early on in the game, and we've had to fight for everything. Quite a few games went like this in the season, where we got behind before we really started playing. In the end, we've turned the game around again, scored a goal, Drinky scored the goal, and it's another good away point.
Yes, excellent away point. I remember Fulham for one particular reason. After the match I fell down the steps, and the video crew had a good laugh. But we came away with a point, and it was on away game again, and this time it was Shrewsbury. Now unfortunately Shrewsbury have no facilities for us to video, Dino, so again we missed a very good game.
That's right. Like the previous week against Fulham, another team that should have been beaten really, and We can't cut that. We fucking did beat them, didn't we?
Oh, Fulham.
Shrewsbury.
Yeah, I thought you would say it, Shannon. Oh, come back, what's that again?
Sorry,
then?
Dick.
It's going to be. That flowed on, didn't it?
Yeah, did it?
So,
Alright, we'll start. We'll do the Fulham again. Do the Fulham one. Well, it's into the new year. The first game on January the 2nd was at Craven Cottage, a favourite ground of mine, Dino, and a very good result.
that's right, and it is a nice ground to go to at any time. The Fulham game again, we went a goal behind early, and as we have done quite a lot of the games this year, by the end of the game it's another sort of turnaround where we've got on top and we've scored a good goal.
Well, of course, another thing I remember about Fulham is that falling down the steps and the video crew laughing their heads off instead of picking me up. Following on that was the game at Shrewsbury. Now, unfortunately, Shrewsbury have no facilities for video crews, and like Chelsea, Dino, John Croft tells me that I've missed probably one of the best games of the season.
Yeah. Again in the game we've gone a goal behind, and it's brought the best out in the lads. And it seems that we have to go a goal behind before we really start playing. I forget who scored the goal as it happens, but
Paul Wilkinson.
no, their goal actually. Shrewsbury's goal.
Got to start again. For fuck's sake, down.
Where
you go, be back.
Oh.
Don't mention it if you don't. You'll laugh. You'll never
You
laugh.
lost
So.
it.
Yeah, you'll never laugh. I tell you, you'll never laugh so much, and you'll laugh. Ready when you are.
Okay, well.
Well, after the Fulham game, it was away to Shrewsbury. Now, Shrewsbury have no facilities for video or television, so unfortunately we couldn't do the game. But John Croft, Grimsby Town's #1 supporter, tells me we missed an absolute cracker.
That's right, Rolly. Yeah, it's another game where we went one down early on in the game, and we've shown a true fighting spirit, and we've got 2 goals and we've come back and won the game well. If it had been last year, I don't think we'd have won the game, because obviously the position we were in, there was no fighting spirit available.
Well, after the Fulham and the Shrewsbury match, which we have got 4 points out of a possible 6 to start the new year off, comes Malcolm Allison and Middlesbrough. Now, there was a tremendous build-up before the game, Dino, as you know, both by Allison and the media, but of course the game was a bit of a letdown.
That's right. I think the build-up to the game was too much for the game, if you understand what I mean. He'd come around, shoot his mouth in all the papers.
Doesn't sound like
they're
Malcolm.
do this. Well, they're going to do this, they're going to do that, and when they come and play, it's a 0-0 draw. And I think the crowd are disappointed, the papers were disappointed, and everybody was disappointed.
Well, we certainly was, because it's a game really that we needed to win, or we could well have easily won. But as you say, the game was really a non-event.
It was a non-event, really. Yeah, they came with the intentions of not winning, I think.
Yeah, well, not
and
losing.
It spoiled it for everybody concerned.
Still, nevertheless, we at least we did get a point out of it, and here is a few highlights from the game.
Super. Yeah, great.
If the fucking is any. Do you want me to mention you've become a father?
No,
Alright, leave it. Now we're just on the Middlesbrough match, which was a dull, non draw. Maybe it's the Tissy one with the alien prat him. I'm ready when you are.
Check down. Okay.
Well, with me today is Tony Ford, and after a very dull draw against Middlesbrough, we had the match of the day cameras here, and it was Manchester City, Tony. How did you see that one?
It was built up to be a big game for us with the TV cameras, and Manchester City going well. I think they were they second then?
Second,
yeah. They were the team to beat, and unfortunately it was built up. I think maybe put a bit of pressure on us and built Manchester City team up to be world beaters. But I think we made a good showing of the game, and maybe could have won really.
Well, it was a tale of 2 halves, really, wasn't it?
Definitely, yeah.
The City scored through Parlane, and then Wilkie equalised, and then we battered him in the second half.
We did. It was the same at Manchester as well. The last 20 minutes, I don't think they had the ball out of their box twice, 3 times. It was looking at.
Well, after a very creditable draw against Manchester City, possibly we won on points if it had been a boxing match, but the next one was a real big one, Tone, and it was to prove one of our finest hours in the second division, Newcastle United.
Yeah, they did one of our finest defensive hours anyway. That's the sort of team that if you take a goal lead, then you know you're going to have to defend. They're a very attacking side, Newcastle. And we scored in, I think, it's about 10th minute. And from then we just took pressure and we took it well.
Yeah, do you think Drinky put us under a lot of pressure by scoring too quick?
No, not really. You can't really say you can score too quick in any game. To get in front at any time is definitely a good thing.
Well, I thought watching that game, I thought it was really a tremendous show. And I got the impression with about 10 minutes to go, Newcastle had just run out of ideas.
They had, I especially remember hearing Kevin Keegan trying to G one or two of them up to try and think of something new instead of just trying to get the ball in the box all the time. He was the glue of their own inspiration, if anything, near the end.
I didn't. I'd have to make a win late.
Yeah, that's it.
Okay.
Shall I do a lip sync so you can take it off?
You're right, we've got the fine little things.
We've been in a time, little things like scratching so we can put them up ready. Well, after the very great result against Newcastle, we're going to start that one again. Well, after that great result against Newcastle, which we showed at the Inn on the Park twice, and the crowd were really buzzing because on the Tuesday night we had to play Derby County, and as you well know, Tony, if we won that game we went in the top 3, which we did.
Yeah, that's right. It was a big change from Saturday. We were playing a team that was going very well on Saturday, and then we had to play a team that were really fighting for their lives. So we knew it would probably be, if anything, just as hard a game.
But I remember most about the goals was a great one from Wilkie into the far post.
Yeah, very good goal, yeah.
Of course, they equalised just before half time, and then that fantastic goal by Kevin.
Yeah, it was a great headed goal. Kevin, he directed it well. He'll always do that.
Great cross.
Average cross.
All right then. We'll have a look at that. Crystal Palace.
Yeah, that's a home game.
I had a 4-3 during that one. I remember more now, yeah. Which one? Crystal Palace.
Okay.
Well, after the Derby match we were in the top 3, and the next one was on our travels again, and once again we were successful. Crystal Palace.
Yes, Crystal Palace. They were, at that time, I think they had a few injuries in that side.
Yes,
and they were struggling a little bit, and we knew we had to go and win there. If we wanted to prove ourselves worthy of a promotion place, we had to go and beat them. And we did. 1-0, it was 1-0, but we should have had maybe 3 or 4.
Can you describe the goal?
The goal, it was. I remember it coming down the right, coming a long way down the right with Kevin Drinkle. He played a good ball into Paul Empson on the edge of the box, who looked like he was going to shoot. But I managed to just make an overlap, just past him into the box, and I scored from about 10 yards.
I did. Well, the next match was against Portsmouth, and Portsmouth had been a bit of a bogey side to us, and if we managed to get at least a point off Portsmouth, we would set up a new record. But, Tony, things didn't turn out quite the way we planned.
No, it was a very good game. I think the spectators must have enjoyed every minute of that game. But unfortunately for us, it's where things started to go wrong.
Well, of course, we went 2-0 down very early on, didn't we?
And we got back to 2-2 just before half time. So it was really set for a very good second half for us. But unfortunately, they were the team that came out playing, and we were fighting again.
So in the end, it was a very disappointing result.
Very disappointing.
Portsmouth, Charlton. Well, after the Portsmouth defeat, it was back to London again. And at one time, the game was in doubt, Tony, and they were talking about Charlton Athletic.
Yes, we weren't sure all the way through the week. We were told to prepare for the game, knowing the manager said there'd definitely be a game, but we weren't really sure until the Thursday before we went.
And of course, what an exciting game it was.
Yeah, it was exciting again. I think we let slip in our defence really, because they let us score 3 bad goals from our point of view.
Well, I thought the first one was a good one by Ailes.
Yes, it was, but there was a bit of few words between Kevin and Chris Nicholl about where Kevin wanted to be for that. He thinks he could have stopped it.
And of course, the second one, Nigel would be dreaming about that one.
Yes, the two very bad defensive mistakes for their second goal.
And of course, you scored in that one.
Yes, I scored the second goal. We equalised it 2-2 after being 2-0 down.
That's right, yes. And of course, Kevin came up with a last-minute equaliser.
Yes, he did. But the unfortunate thing is we scored 6 goals in 2 games and only took 1 point.
That's right. Well, after the Charlton draw, it was back into Yorkshire and a very famous club, Leeds United.
Very famous club, yes. They've struggled the last few years, but I think I've seen them since we played them, and they're beginning to pick up again now as a team. But again, I thought that when we went there, we should have definitely come back with something. It's all right. It's very easy to look back and say, well, we should have done this and should have done that. But you know yourselves when just straight after the game, you know that you could have been.
Well, I remember they possibly had about 3 shots during the whole game. 2 absolute cracking goals and a great save by Nigel. And yet at one stage, we had about 4 shots kicked off the line.
That's right. The 2 goals they scored were unstoppable, were marvellous goals. There's no way you can sort of legislate for defensive play against that. So, but it was the fact that we were controlling the play so well around half time, and when we came out at the beginning of the second half, that we know we should have done in the league.
Well, after the disappointing result at Ellen Road, it was another Yorkshire team, and it was Huddersfield Town. And it was funny, it was at Huddersfield where our great run started, Tony.
Yes, it was. They're a very tough side to beat, though, Huddersfield, and we knew we needed a win, because if we wanted to get back into the top 3, we knew we had to win, and hopefully win well, to give ourselves that little bit of confidence. I think the score was 2-1.
That's right, it was a match of penalties, if I remember.
Yes, it was. Yes, but I think in the end we look back and say it was a good result. We knew we had to win when we definitely wanted that.
Did anybody volunteer to take the second penalty for Joe?
No. That's his job.
Can you just hold it there, Rob?
Yeah. Oh, lately this week.
No, last time I was there when the Thursday, and they were just putting those pipes under the
drain pipes. Well, they can't touch the middle. It's still wet.
Is it?
Yeah. Until after about 6 games, it's going to be a muddy. Right, we'll just get them these next 2 or 3 and that'll be it. Where are we, Huddersfield, haven't we?
Just done that.
Right. Very disappointing game.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, after the Huddersfield result, it was away travels again, back to the south, and Brighton Athletic. Now, Brighton Athletic, Grimsby Town had destroyed 5-0 at Blundell Park, but a different result this time.
Very different. Brighton played quite well. Again, we didn't really intimidate them in any sort of way. We went probably to try and defend for a while and try and catch them on the break. And we threw it really to their 2 wingers, and they had 2 wingers who were prepared to go at our full-backs and get crosses in. From then on, we struggled a little bit really.
Yeah, well, I know what you mean, Tony. I struggled. I fell through the scaffolding. Well, after the Brighton game, we had to get back on the winning track, and it was against possibly Grimsby Town's biggest enemies for want of football since Barnsley.
That was a night game, I can't remember.
We're going to start that again.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, Barnsley beat them 1-0.
Yeah,
Second. Until you scored them. Drink. Yeah, drinking. Idea, Wilkie, yeah.
Well, that goal good, mate. What was that?
How did Wilkie get it? Can you remember, Dick?
Okay.
Call it day if you want.
Yeah.
Because we did go do Swansea.
I don't know.
Well, after the very sad performance against Brighton, it was back home against Grimsby's arch rivals, Barnsley.
Barnsley usually a physical side as well, Barnsley, and we knew we'd definitely have a fight. We went out, and I think we played reasonably well. We pressed them quite a few times, for a good time in the first half, but never really made anything from it. and I think we began to look a little bit desperate for goal.
That's right, yeah.
And I can't remember how it came out. All I can remember is Paul Wilkinson lobbing the keeper off, maybe a through ball from the edge of the box, and that was probably our only really clear-cut chance.
But it was still worth 3 points, Tony, and it certainly made up for that shocking decision at Barnsley when the referee pulled us up after a goal.
Yes, yeah, that was a shame that, because that would have made it 3-2, and I think we would have taken something there because they were under a lot of pressure at that time for us.
Yeah. Well, but nevertheless, we'll see this Paul Wilkinson goal that colours the 3 points. Smashing.
Good, very good.
Thanks, Tom, mate. Lovely. You're going to see your lad now?
No, I'm just going to get some stuff in from town for sale and go back at 2 o'clock to see it.
And we'll, for Fulham was?
Yeah.
That's right, yeah, we'll have a drink after, won't we? Shrewsbury Town you'll know about.
It was a high court battle.
Yeah.
Which we won 2-1.
Correct. And a Middlesbrough none fucking fade out, and then we'll go to...
Thank you, Rowley. So pleased to be here.
Cambridge United. You see, he'll get the camera away from me, and make it, even though I'm not looking, make it as if he told me to be, you know, and I'll be looking and queuing him in for the next matches. Okay? When you're ready. Good,
Okay.
Well, my guest today is Grimsby's leading goal scorer, Kevin Drinkle. And Kevin, you missed the Christmas period, but you came back to play against that fucking lot again.
So,
You didn't, yeah. What was your injury?
yeah.
Well, my guest today is Grimsby Town's leading goal scorer, Kevin Drinkle. Kevin, you missed most of the December period through injury, but you came back as substitute against Cambridge United. And, in fact, the game changed when you came on.
Well, that's right. The lads had a great game against Sheffield Wednesday on the Saturday, and as so often happens, when you play the big game, done well, you travel down to Loughly, Cambridge, where we got off to a terrible start early. I think we went 2-0 down.
That's right, yeah.
Before half time. Manager was a little bit disillusioned with the players at that time and decided to put me on early into the second half. I take no credit for what happened afterwards, but we fought back into the game. Paul Empson got a good goal. Header, I think, quite unusual for Paul. And we were out on top then. Went to the last minute, I think it was, till we equalised. But the more the game was going, the more we got back into the game. And if it had gone another 5 minutes, I think we'd have won.
Well, I thought it was rather fortunate to actually get a point the way we played in the first half.
The first half was a disaster, as far as everybody was concerned. We'd done it all on the Saturday and probably went there a bit full of ourselves. Didn't get down and do the job properly. So paid the price in that first half.
Yes, love. Well, after the very fortunate draw against Cambridge United, it was back to Blundell Park, and we played a team that actually trounced us in the first encounter, Cardiff City, but we wish to reverse it.
Yes, we do. We did actually play. It was early in the season once we played at Cardiff.
3-1.
They beat us 3-1. Although I don't think they actually trounced us in actual play. They scored the goals on that day. We brought them back to Blundell Park. It was a very good team that day, although a 1-0 result was it.
Yeah, that's all. Yeah.
Didn't actually show that on paper, but we absolutely destroyed them, and probably could have been 10 or 11 goals easy. Could have put the chances away. But very good performance and 3 points in the back.
Yeah.
Just keep it short and sharp.
Yeah. Well, not short and sharp, but you know, this is right, again. Well, the next game was the first one of the 1984, January the 2nd, against Fulham. Lovely ground, Craven Cottage, and another great performance, Kevin.
It was, as I remember it, they'd had this new pitch laid.
That's right.
And I don't think it stood up too well at night. It absolutely chucked it down with rain. We got off to quite a good start, but they went away and scored which put us under a little bit of pressure. And was it 1-0 at half time?
Yeah, it was 1-0 at half time, yeah.
We had a little talk at half time, changed one or two things.
Stop. Start again. I don't fucking know. So I don't like to just say they went ahead. Well, I'll tell you, they went ahead.
Where do you start?
From the beginning.
Yeah, I'll start then. Leave you into it, right? Okay? Okay. Well, it was on the away travels again, and this time it was at that beautiful ground, Craven Cottage, and it was the first game of 1984, Kev.
Yeah, well, you say beautiful ground, but the pitch wasn't beautiful that night. They absolutely chucked it down with rain. And it was quite boggy. But the game started off quite well, some good football being played. We was quite confident going there. But they broke away and scored a goal. Went 1-0 down. Just into the second half, we broke away. I think Tony Ford crossed the ball and managed to get a toe onto it, and it rolled into the far corner. I remember that game mainly because it was my last game.
Cool.
Go on.
Hilda!
I'll change that one now. I'm not going to talk about the pitch, I'll talk about Trev.
Right, that's right. Well, then came January the 2nd, 1984, and we played at one of the most beautiful grounds in the country, Craven Cottage.
As I remember it, it was Trevor Weinmack's last game for us.
That's correct.
Sad thing as far as I was concerned, but because I always enjoyed playing with Trevor. But the game got off quite well. We was playing some very good football. Both sides knocking the ball about well. And they went away and scored, which knocked us back a little bit. Got back into the game. I think Tony Ford crossed a very good ball.
That's right.
I managed to get my toe on the end of it, and it rolled into the corner past the keeper.
Wasn't one of your super goals?
It looked quite good on the telly, I think, but actually I didn't connect with it too well.
That's the first time you've admitted it.
The old count.
What's the next one? Well, he reckons it was our finest point of the season so far. I don't want to mention that. Well, the next match was away to Shrewsbury at Gay Meadow, and it was quite a good performance.
I don't believe you had the cameras there that day.
No, they haven't got facilities at Shrewsbury.
Well, that's a shame actually, because it was probably the best away performance that the team's put in probably 2 or 3 years. We absolutely played fantastic that day. Ripped them apart. 2-1 result doesn't sound very good. 2 very good goals we got, and very worthwhile game. Shit,
I thought that was a good take, didn't you?
Yeah.
You? Well, I thought that was a tremendous take.
What did I say anyway? I forgot what I said there.
You said it's pity you ain't got the cameras there, and yeah. But we can't do it with it because you said, "Oh shit."
Too fast at the end.
Yeah. Well, our next game was away to Shrewsbury at Gay Meadow, but unfortunately, Kevin, we never had the cameras there because of lack of facilities.
Well, that's a shame really, because it was probably our finest away performance for 2 or 3 years. Although 2-1 doesn't seem a very big scoreline, we absolutely trounced them that day. Probably could have won by 4 or 5 goals. 2 quite good goals, I think. Myself and Paul Wilkinson scored that day. 2 very good goals and an all-round great team performance.
Well, after that great result against Shrewsbury, the next match was much heralded in by, we're going to start that fucking lot again. Well, after that great result at Shrewsbury, it was against Malcolm Allison's team, Middlesbrough, and you know I've cocked it up against it, don't we? I wish he'd start smiling, yeah. I know I've made a mistake. Well, after that great result against Shrewsbury, it was home again to Malcolm Allison's Middlesbrough. Kevin, a 0-0 draw, very disappointing.
It was built up as a big game in the papers, which probably was a bad thing on the day. He's a very good tactician, Malcolm, and I think he came down to Blundell Park to do a job, and all credit to him really, it worked for him. We couldn't quite break down their side. Had 1 or 2 chances, but altogether I think their tactics killed us off that day.
How many matches? In fact, it looked as if it was going to be a draw.
They scored quite late on,
Yeah.
substitute.
That's right, yeah. Can't remember his name now.
Rogers,
Was it Rogers, was it?
something like that.
Well, they scored. They scored.
Substitute.
Okay. Well, after the Fulham game, it was... have I said that before?
Wonder.
Well, the next match was a break from the league, and it was the cup match against Portsmouth, our second encounter with this team.
Yes, they absolutely walked all over us in the league game down there. Yeah, I think Haley had scored that trick in the league.
That's right.
We got off to a bad start again, really. They were knocking the ball about very well. Scored a very good goal. It wasn't till quite late into the game where we started to put our game together. I think Joe had a free kick or something, got a wicked deflection and was rolling just past the post. And I went in and tapped it in.
Joe said it was going in.
Well, you know what Joe's like, I mean he's Irish, isn't he? But that made it 1-1 with probably only 5 minutes to go, I think, at that time. And we was all quite sure we'd managed to make a draw out of it. And they brought on a substitute.
Yeah.
He went down the line, I think he meant to cross the ball, a little chip to the far post. And it beat Nigel and went in off the far post. So, quite fortunate really, but I think on the day they deserved to beat us again.
Right, we've done the... well, after the great win against Barnsley, a very hard-earned win, it was at home once again to Swansea City. And Kevin, your finest hour?
Well, perhaps. I've taken a lot of stick the previous night from that cunt kid.
We can't have that kid! Well, not if it has it, you can't. You might be right, but you're not putting it in. If you would like to mention that, you can do, but we're certainly not putting it in.
You know?
Do you want us to get us off the air?
I thought you might send him a little copy of that.
No, you can actually have a dig at him if you wish. But it's entirely up to you. Was that the time you want to play the...
Yes, and got booed.
You just... which game was it? Was it the Swansea match?
Got booed.
Which some of the crowd didn't...
It didn't quite go along with actually, but now I've got some comeback on that because Match Weekly do a thing for that one. If you look at the month, I mean, I got it from March.
Yeah.
So Portsmouth was at home,
Yeah.
I scored. Charlton away, I scored 2. Leeds, I can't remember, I think they had quite a good game. Huddersfield, I think they had quite a good game. And I was a top average mark in the country in that Match Weekly. But no need to mention that.
No, that's one dream of it. Ready?
Yes, go on. Can't say it.
No. Well, after that great result against Barnsley, it was on once again to Swansea City. And Kevin, your finest hour?
Perhaps I'd taken quite a little bit of stick from the local press the previous evening. I think I've gone 4 games without scoring, which, according to this reporter, is a disaster. I mean, every centre forward will tell you that 4 games is nothing. But I went into the game with probably 1 or 2 things to prove.
And you was also received the Player of the Month for March.
Yes, I think I'm the only player who's gone out there to receive that certain award and been booed.
But you answered them.
Well, you've got to try it. I mean, as it happened, things went well for me on that day. And after, it was 4 minutes, 5 minutes or something, Tony took a corner. I met it very well and it shot straight into the net.
A superb goal, that first one, yes.
Well, I'm supposed to be quite good with my head and it's nice to occasionally prove people right.
Yeah.
The game went from there. It was a drab game, really. One that we should have taken control of and probably won about 10-0. And it wasn't, I don't think, till 20 minutes from the end of the
20
game.
minutes to go, yeah. David Shearer had a shot.
David Shearer had a shot, which wasn't going anywhere, really. I managed to control and found myself clear with just the keeper to beat and stuck it past him into the corner.
And of course your hat-trick.
Hat-trick was late on, I think dying seconds really. Dino crossed the ball, goalkeeper went up not a very good goalkeeper, I don't think, that day. And I managed to edit out his hands. And it dropped into the net, which quite pleasing as far as I was concerned.
Didn't know you did. You're doing the Blackburn game, Oldham Athletic, and Chelsea again.
All the best games.
Sheffield Wednesday.
Dean, I'll probably put you on.
Keep going like that.
You what?
So if he wants me to talk, they keep going like that.
And you can look at me now and then, you know, I mean, don't keep looking.
Fucking do I have to?
No, well, I mean, all he was doing last time was going.
Yeah, I'll probably put him off now.
Tom's looking to the camera.
Be Dean Martinish. I don't mean pissed, I mean
Pissed.
ready? Yeah. Well, after the Carlisle match, Grimsby Town then went into the history books. Dean, it was our first game on a Sunday.
Yeah, that's right, Rolly. Different for everybody on a Sunday. Different setup completely to a normal game. The week was thrown out a little bit, and it's an awful feeling having to play on a Sunday.
You didn't like playing it. Yeah. I remember talking to a lot of the lads after the match, and they couldn't get the feel of the game.
Yeah,
it's
different. It's different completely. The atmosphere was different. The game was different in actual fact itself. You know, I don't think anybody really wanted to play it.
But we still got a point out of it.
We got a good point out of it in the end. Yeah, Phil scored a good goal after coming on as substitute, and everything worked out well in the end.
Yeah. All right. Okay.
Pass it at home.
I have many others as well. Maybe in front of I mean, in the mirror. Right, Oldham Athletic.
3-0 at home.
Do you know anything about it?
No, I said
40
before.
Wilkie Spade. Well, after the very creditable draw against Blackburn Rovers, it was a Tuesday night match, and our opponents, Oldham Athletic, Dean.
Yes, Oldham, a difficult side. We beat them, I think, last year, drew away, and the game turned out rather easier than what we expected, with a 3-0 scoreline.
Yes, I was very disappointed in Oldham actually from last year.
They were a lot poorer than they were last year, yeah. Same sort of players, you know, same name players, but I think they've just gone a bit.
Well, after that great result against Oldham, the next match was, unfortunately, I couldn't get a cameraman brave enough to go down with me, and it's a pity because we missed probably Grimsby's best away performance of the season, Chelsea.
Yes, you did. The away performance there was very creditable. We went 2 goals down early on, one of them a penalty against Kevin Moore, which was a bit harsh, but you tend to find that these sort of results go against you away. We fought back second half, realised we could win the game really at half time when we was in the dressing room. We went out and put 3 goals past them.
And everybody tells me, Tony, as you know, a very modest young man indeed, he tells me that's his greatest goal he's ever scored.
It was a fantastic goal, yeah. He sort of picked it up on the corner of the 18-yard line, and whether it flicked up or bobbled up, and he crashed it in the top corner, the far side of the goal. Superb goal.
Well, after the great result against Chelsea, it was against another top of the league side, Sheffield Wednesday, and where we unfortunately missed Tony's great goal, we certainly didn't miss Paul Wilkinson's.
No, it's everybody's expecting the game to be a good game, Boxing Day, and I don't think anybody was disappointed.
My 34th birthday.
Was it? It's good. Well, you shouldn't throw them in, should you? You get a stupid answer from me.
Do it again. Well, after that great result against Chelsea, it was another top of the league side, Sheffield Wednesday, on my 34th birthday, Boxing Day. And where we missed Tony's great goal, Dino, we certainly didn't miss Paul's.
That's right, a super goal from Paul, really. Unfortunately, I missed the game through illness, but we played ever so well, run them into the ground, really, and got the just rewards in the end.
And also, we was missing that great striker, Kevin Drinkle, as well.
Well, yeah, I always miss Kevin when he's not in the side, you know, his aerial power, and unfortunately, we didn't miss him enough because we still won the game. It's great, it's bullshit.
You didn't realise we wanted to do it again, though, weren't we?
Oh no.
Well, pause. You know what I mean?
Stop's asking me some stupid question.
Well, after that great result against Chelsea, the next game was what the fucking hell's up with you?
A thumb came in.
From him.
Me.
Come on, Dino.
Don't ask me stupid questions.
It's a shit goal.
Hey?
Superb goal.
I can't remember it, to be honest. Right.
What do you want me to?
Yeah.
No,
Hang on, I'll ask you the questions.
Go on, is it?
I'll roll it.
It was your 34th birthday.
Yeah, it was your 34th birthday.
Ready? Well, after that great result against Chelsea, the next game was against top of the league side Sheffield Wednesday. It was Boxing Day, a big crowd, my 34th birthday, and where we missed Tony's great goal, we certainly didn't miss Paul Wilkinson's.
No, it's a good goal, Rolly. Everybody's been expecting the game to be a good game. Everybody's been waiting for it, crowd, players, management alike, and it's turned out we haven't disappointed the fans and we've got a good victory.
I thought we absolutely ran Sheffield Wednesday off the field.
We did, yeah. Unfortunately I missed the game, but sat in the dugout and the work that the lads put in was tremendous.
Maybe that. Don't throw a waffle away.
Throw me any more, please.
I was going to ask you about Kevin.
I can see what you're going to do.
I'm going to tell you like,
It was like 34th birthday.
Rick, what do you expect me to do about that? Finished now, aren't I?
No.
I can't go on to them because I don't know about it.
You'll know this next one. Ready?
If you tell you to, you tell us how to.
Ready? Makes it more natural.
I'm going to
Well, after that great performance by Kevin Drinkle against Swansea City, in which, to me, once again, he proved to be the greatest centre forward in the second division, that's worth a fucking pint.
See what and he's giving me stick.
I didn't like the beginning, that's why. Ready? Well, after that great performance against Swansea City.
Great performance. You're on the video saying this is a
Swansea City. Pull yourself together.
I'm doing it, you know, yes, sir. Pack it up. Ready?
No.
Well, after that great individual performance by Kevin Drinkle against Swansea City, Grimsby Town had probably the hardest match of the season, and that was away to runaway leaders then. No, they fuck runaway leaders, was it? Hey?
How can we talk about all of them? What's he going to say?
He's going to say our fucking skipper was brilliant. And they're wrong.
When did you captain the side? Was that the first time Oldham match?
Yeah.
And Chelsea?
That's why I said we was really slow. You know, we had all these kids out.
What was the last match?
Swansea.
Well, after that great individual performance by Kevin Drinkle against Swansea City, Grimsby Town then had to face probably their hardest match of the season. It was away to Sheffield Wednesday, Dean.
Yeah, Sheffield Wednesday, runaway leaders of the league. We went there, no fears about them at all really. And on the day we proved they're equal, but for a harsh penalty decision, which lost us the game.
Well, even Jimmy Hill on Match of the Day, which covered the game, was adamant that it was never a penalty.
Yeah, well, there was a tanglement. It was outside the box initially. Momentum carrying both into the box, where, to my knowledge, that Cunningham was trying to pull Kevin Moore down.
What do you fucking want me to say? You're fucking talking.
I'm waiting for you to ask me another question.
What can I ask you?
You can agree with him or not, eh?
You should have said yes, that's right, and now we'll have a look at it on the telly. And you
Which you've not done a lot this year, Al.
Hey?
Which you've not done a lot this year.
Should.
They just wanted a bit of the old, yes, that's right, Dave. Nobody thought.
Yeah.
We can't say actually.
You're trying to be.
Well, after the very disappointing result, fucking hell.
Steady.
It's quite a good result. 3-0.
Where are we now? Anyway.
Cambridge. Well, after the very disappointing result against Sheffield Wednesday, It was home again to my least favourite team of the second division, Cambridge United.
Yeah, Cambridge done well to stay in the second division for as long as they have, really. They came to our place not having won a game for nearly 30 odd matches, I
That's
think.
right. If we beat them, it'd have been a record of a team going the longest without winning.
Yeah, well, it proved on the day that we didn't play well, and they got a point out of the match.
And the record.
And the record, yeah.
It was easy, wasn't it? It was quick. Hey, this book on say about that match. It must have been the biggest non-event of all time. I know. You've played it most. Let's sit down here, drink.
Wilkie.
I'll just sit here and be
Yeah,
quiet.
Wilkie from a knock-on.
A what?
From a great ball from me.
Dino not went into the box, it fell down, Wilkie stuck it in.
Fordy headed it down.
Fordy headed it back.
Yeah. Okay.
Right then, we're on.
So suddenly Kev pops back then, does he?
Yeah, right out of the blue, like.
Yeah.
Hey there, boys!
And after another 3 pints at Rowley's pub,
And I brought drink for me. I'm the Gallagher.
Ready? Well, after the very disappointing game against Cambridge United, and we'll have to start again because Dean Crumb is fucking about.
not bad on there. How long time before you started? Sorry.
Well, after the very disappointing result against Cambridge United, we then went on the travels because I said,
I'm going to switch straight across from me to Dino.
quiet, ready to go. After the very disappointing result against Cambridge United, Grimsby went on their travels again, and it was away to Carlisle United. And Kevin, you scored many great goals this year, but what about that one from Coughlin?
Super shot from about 30 yards. I think Dino initially made a great tackle on the edge
It
of the
was,
box.
yes, tremendous.
But unfortunately it broke to the
Start again.
Start again.
See, I was fucking finished, mate.
That's what Bodie said.
You will be.
Well, after that very disappointing result against Cambridge United, Grimsby then travelled to Carlisle United. That doesn't sound right because I said Cambridge United. It don't sound like two Uniteds together. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Right, start again. After the very disappointing result against Cambridge United, Grimsby then went on the travels to Carlisle. And Kevin, you've scored many great goals in your time, but how about that one from Coughlin?
Super goal. I think he scored from about 30 yards, didn't he?
He did, yeah.
Initially it was a great tackle from Dean, which broke to them on the edge of the box. They knocked it about quite well for a couple of minutes, and then with nothing on, the guy suddenly decided to have a shot, bent it into Nigel's top corner, I think.
Absolutely superb goal, yes. And our equaliser?
Before, we got back into the game, and rightly so, we scored the equaliser. I think Dino crossed the ball to the far post. Tony, great header back, and there was Paul Wilkinson on to stick it home.
One thing I thought about that game, Will, was how hot it was out there. It was like a...
cricket,
it was, yeah.
It's usually that towards the end of the season. I think that takes effect on the players.
Well, I do. I mean, somebody like you who runs around a lot, it's fair enough, but if you get somebody like Dino, for instance, who just very casually strolls around at the back, you know, because...
Well, I think that's a good point there, Ollie, and I think that's why you probably see 40-year-old defenders still playing.
That's right, yeah. You never see 40-year-old strikers, do you?
Well, you don't, because they've got to keep sharp and moving all the time.
That's right.
And anybody can play centre half.
I agree with you, yeah.
This nickel guy's a load of crap, really.
Do you reckon?
He is, I mean, bloody hell, just stands there.
I'm defender and I'll agree with that.
Gets all the score
Yeah, if he did notice, so Phil got the first. Bring all the gear down into here.
Okay, Ron.
Yeah, ready to go.
Yeah.
Well, after the draw against Carlisle United, start again. Reading into Cambridge, Carlisle. So after the draw against Carlisle United, Grimsby Town had 3 games to play. The first of these was a tone to Blackburn Rovers. And the first thing, Dave, I must say, was that the crowd was very disappointed.
Yeah, it was, but I think by that time people realised that we weren't going to get promotion, and that it was really just a matter of them seeing out the season, and we looked at it slightly differently.
How did you see the game?
Well, I thought we started the game very well. If I remember rightly, we had them on the rack a little bit, but after about 12 minutes we had a bad injury to Bob Cumming, and he had to go off. Unfortunately, he ended up in hospital for quite a while through it, but at the time then Gary Lund came on and we had to mess the team around a little bit, and the first 45 minutes, I don't know the scores at half time, but we were well on top.
Well, Phil had to take a penalty. I believe he was leading 1-0 and Phil had a thrice taken penalty.
Yeah, the first one hit the crossbar and the goalkeeper moved, and he made him take it again. The second one he put it away very well.
That's right.
And I think just to even things up, he made him take it again. And if I remember right, I think the goalkeeper got a hand to it and it went in, and he sort of deflected it himself behind him.
And then of course...
there's a lot of pressure. I mean, we talked about a lot of pressure on Joe that time when he had 2 against Huddersfield. I mean, Phil again, he's going to have to stop that with penalties, aren't we?
We will, yeah. But of course Garner got a great goal back for Blackburn, and then Gary Lund, you know, I mean, I think the young man had scored 4 times in the week, hadn't he, or 4 or 5 times, and this was came on as sub and gets 2 more.
Yeah, he'd scored a hat-trick for the juniors at Leeds. I think he'd scored a hat-trick for the reserves.
That's right, yeah.
And then he came on and scored 2, so he scored 8 in 5 days.
No, not bad then, Dave.
No, he wasn't bad. He's had a similar situation to Paul Wilkinson towards the back end of last season, when Paul came in as sub for 4 or 5 times and just found his feet a little bit. If Gary makes the same progress as Paul has this season, then he could have a good season next year. But the worst thing about the Blackburn game was Kevin Moore also got injured.
Yeah, we'll talk about this not good. We caught that one, you know. I just wait for you to pause and think, caught it, didn't you?
Yeah.
Right.
Just a little bit louder if you could, Dave.
Right. Yeah.
Oldham Athletic away. What can you say about this one, is it? Right. Well, after the Blackburn game, it was Grimsby Town's last away match of the season to Oldham Athletic. I'll remember this for different reasons, Dave, because it wasn't the football, it was the fight of the century. I'll remember it for. But of course, from the footballing side, it was quite a disappointing result.
Yeah, if I remember, they had to either win or draw to stay in
That's correct.
the second division.
Yeah, they needed a point, yeah.
And we, by that time, were more or less realising that we were going to stay in the second division. Right. So really, it was a disappointing game. Although we had 1 or 2 chances to go in front, if I remember right. But it was.
But we took an early lead through, of course, young Lundy again after about 3 or 4 minutes.
I remember that. Yeah, the goalkeeper parried one. It's funny, we talked all morning about the goalkeeper parrying shots, and the last thing I said to him before he went out was follow up on the goalkeeper, because I went to watch him against Manchester City, and you're doing the same thing there.
Yeah.
I said this straight in. It was a side foot into the net.
That's right. Yeah, off he saved Rinky's shot and he followed up. But then we gave away an equaliser. It was a shot on the turn. I think it was just inside the box. And then, of course, we had that melee. Would you like to talk about that, or are you really interested in that side?
Not really. No, I don't remember too much about it. Just the fact that Nigel come tearing out to stop somebody from getting into trouble.
Quinn.
And really ended up nearly in trouble himself.
That's right.
Makes you think that possibly you're better off leaving them all to it,
right.
Just ignoring the fact.
And of course the winning goal, Dave, went in from a kind of a long range shot, didn't it?
Yeah, I think he cut in from the left, didn't he?
Yeah.
And he whacked it in there. It was disappointing because we were so much better than that.
Yeah.
And I think we just lost our way a little bit there on that. And we wanted to finish with 3 wins, straight wins if we could have. But unfortunately, they had more fire than footballing ability on the day, and it won. Disappointing from our point of view.
I thought you mentioned it was a good match. From the June. Well, by this time it was all decided. The 3 teams going up was Chelsea, Sheffield Wednesday and Newcastle. The only thing to decide was who was going up as champions. And as it turned out, David, for the 2nd year in a row, I don't know whether you realise this, but we have sent the champions up.
That's massive. Yeah, well, after the Oldham game, I think everybody realised that the Chelsea game set itself up from the players' point of view, because it was a game again, although we couldn't get promotion or whatever, it was felt that there's a little bit of something to prove. But unfortunately, we didn't play particularly well. It was more of a pressure cooker situation, I think, where the game became bigger than the occasion became bigger than the game, and we never actually played very well throughout it at all. And they were very strong on the day. They were a lot stronger than when we played down in Chelsea. And I thought they particularly at the back they cut us out particularly well. They deserved to win, really. Although we would like to have beaten them, they deserved to beat us, really. So we finished badly over the last 3 or 4 games.
Now what we'll do this... I'll watch for the line.
Okay.
Well, David, all in all, it's been a really great season for yourself and Grimsby Town, of course. Is there any particular points you'd like to bring out why it has been such a great season?
No, I think there's a big change around at the back end of last year. Quite a few players left for one reason or another. I think it was felt that we let too many players go, but I felt it was time for a change, and I thought it was time to possibly rebuild a little bit. And quite honestly, we're just still in the rebuilding process.
Yeah, that's right, David. But do you think, basically that we were so much stronger away from home this year?
Yeah, I think we changed the style of play slightly, which helped us. We all knew exactly what we were going to do, which way and how we were going to play, and I think we became harder to beat. And we didn't. If you look back on it, there's not many games where we didn't score a goal.
No.
And in a lot of cases, that one goal was good enough to win the game.
Well, also what stuck out for me, David, is because last year we went to a lot of away matches, and after half an hour, if we conceded a goal, that was it. But this year, I wouldn't like to count how many times we came back from a goal down and won.
Yeah. I think it was down to a lot of better organisation and really a bit more confidence. When it's the same, more or less the same players within the team, although the club changed around a little bit. But they play with a lot more confidence, and I think confidence does help to bring those results.
Which is your most personal highlight? Which game could you look back and go home and sit down and say, well, that's it?
Well, there's 2 or 3. The first one, purely from a professional point of view, in the way that we do play, I would say Newcastle away, where I felt that was a very good professional performance. I also, from the other side of the coin, I think Chelsea away, where we came back with a little bit of flair. We could have beaten 4 or 5 in the end.
Yeah.
Plus the fact against Brighton at home, we beat them 5 with a young side, and it was the first time that we've come across the sweeper system, I believe.
Yeah.
Against Brighton, and we tore them to bits. There's a lot of good points, I think, from the season to look forward to next year.
And next year, David, your hopes? 35 seconds.
The last time you're counting down.
Yeah.
You tell him when to start, because we're running out.
So there's out my mouth, right? Okay. Well, after the... Oh, for fuck's sake, will you tell me to wrap it up? We're just about to shoot! Well, go out and find some men.
There's plenty here, I don't know.
Just 4 will do.
Yeah. Bugsy post.
Yeah, sorry, that's only 5 minutes for it. Hey, will you concentrate?
Right, Pete's got to tell you when to start, really,
Right.
so he knows when to start his watch from.
Well, after the great result against Huddersfield Town, Joe, and we're going to start that bastard again.
Why?
I didn't like it.
Oh.
Well, after the great result against Huddersfield, it was away to Brighton. Shut up! You can hear them in my love. Just go tell them to wrap it, Pete, will you? I can't see that at all.
Okay.
Can you?
Yeah.
As long as you can see, that's alright. That's even worse.
I can see it. It's okay.
That's better, Dick. Yeah, great.
Let me look at what I look like on this.
Right. Oh my God, Father.
Yeah, that's
Susan.
I've got a job to do.
Susan.
Yes. I can tell you getting series. Susan there, yes.
Just turn that camera off anyway.
What, 35 seconds.
On sale again, Dick. On sale again. Okay, when you're ready. Just quiet for 35 seconds. Well, after the great win against Huddersfield Town, it was away to Brighton and Hove Albion. And Joe, it wasn't a very good result.
No, very disappointing game from our point of view. We didn't really play on the day. Lost 2 bad goals. Alan Young scored 2, and really a game that we never had a chance of winning.
Let's do it again. How many seconds was that? Was that 25?
He's got a chance here, but can you come here? Joe's tending to look. He looks up that one.
Double take.
You look a bit shiny on there, Joe.
Look a bit shiny. It's because the light is shining straight in the face.
Go on, let's try this, get this fucking thing out of the way. I can bring the penalty internet in against Chelsea again.
Your wife wants you, I think.
You can say it's while we're watching football. Right, well, let's get it. I ain't lost. It's good. Well, after the great result against Huddersfield Town, it was away to Brighton and Hove Albion. Grimsby had convincingly beaten Brighton at home, but the away game, Joe, was a slightly different kettle of fish.
Yeah, it was. We didn't start the game too badly, but it was a game that, as the longer it went on, the worse we became, and Brighton could have beaten us by more really if it hadn't been for Nigel Batch. Nigel made 2 or 3 tremendous saves, and they said if it hadn't been for that, we'd have lost by more.
Well, all in all, they... Is it off?
It's recording now. But the first time I pressed the tick on there, it just shut itself completely off.
It's recording now?
Yeah, the light was doing that.
That's like a superstar, really, don't I? You know, you must admit I've got a bit of class about me. Hello, Darren.
That's sweetie.
Right, it's running now.
Okay, I've got to do it again.
Right.
Sorry. Just a minute.
Keep trying to talk till the last 3 seconds. 3 seconds is a lot on the screen.
Yeah, okay.
Well,
I'll
check it to his full 35, but if you can stop
I'll hit you.
seconds before.
Can you see, Pete?
Freeze, then we've got enough time to...
Can you see,
Yeah.
Pete?
But I can see him counting down. So
when do you
seconds.
want Joe to stop talking?
About 33, I think.
33, so about 2 or 3 seconds to go. Okay.
Well, Pete will do that. Whatever
Yeah.
Pete tells him is right. You keep it under the 35.
I think 10's too much. You want to go 5? Oh yeah, 10, right. Okay.
Because it gives me time to
Yeah.
shut off then,
Okay,
doesn't it?
right, okay.
10 still.
Yeah.
When you had it. Well, after the great result against Huddersfield Town, it was next away to Brighton and Hove Albion. And Joe, very disappointing result.
Very disappointing result from our point of view. Started badly for us. Nigel got injured in the kickabout. Couldn't kick the ball properly, and I think it affected his game. They had two wingers who played very well on the day and did to our fullbacks what we hoped Tony and Paul would do to theirs. 2 goals from Alan Young, and we never really counted in any way, and we looked to have lost it right from the start.
Take on all 3, continue, right? Stop kicking your fucking nose, you bastard. You're a scruffy.
Right, what ones are we doing?
Blackburn next.
Blackburn.
Ready when you are.
Yeah.
Carlisle. Well, after the very useful point against Carlisle United, which didn't make a fucking difference because we'd gone out of it by then, hadn't we?
No, we could have still done it.
Have we?
Yeah. If Newcastle lost their matches.
Well, after the very useful draw against Carlisle United, it was home again to
Blackburn Rovers.
I don't want to be too clever, I'll go straight into it. Well, after the very useful draw against Carlisle United, it was home then to Blackburn Rovers. A very, very good game indeed, Joe, and a tale of penalties of... start again. Fucking wrong.
Penalty saga was a good one.
Penalty saga. Well, after the very useful draw against Carlisle United, it was home to Blackburn Rovers, and this match will be remembered for the penalty saga involving Phil Bonneman. And Joe, you had one against Huddersfield. What about this one?
Yeah, well, my one against Huddersfield was different because I'd missed the first one and it was a chance for me to redeem myself. But Phil had 3 penalties, 3 attempts at the penalty to get a goal out of it. The first one, he told me that his studs caught on the ground and he lifted the ball and hit the bar. Luckily enough for him, the goalkeeper had moved. The second one he scored, did well to score it, and apparently Guy Henshaw had encroached, so the referee made him take it again. And then of course the pressure was really on. I mean, 3 penalties, what do you do with your third one? And he stood the test very well and stuck it away in the corner. I was pleased for him, really.
And the overall game?
A great game actually. 2 teams very similar in style. The clubs that you could draw a parallel to, they've come the same way. Small clubs but challenged the big city clubs. We started off and looked as if we were really going to take them apart. We played really well. I was very pleased in the first half especially. But then in the second half they came out and made a game of it. And I mean, every time I was doing a live commentary on the radio, and every time I said something, there was a goal going in. So it was quite exciting and a great game. Finished up 3-2.
Don't think it's too fucking long, do you?
No, because we've got
I know, we've got
plenty of action
time
to
left.
show
Yeah, well, yeah.
as well with what Joe's saying.
Okay. Well, after that very great result against Blackburn Rovers, it was Grimsby's last travel, and
You can't say very great result.
good result.
Yeah. You can't say very great.
Like me.
Very great is not good English. Very good is good English. Very great is bad. For someone to pick it up, say, what the fuck are you on about?
How can a fucking Irishman tell you about fucking English?
My wife is
Eh?
my wife is A-level English or O-level English, and I tell her how to speak English and how to spell. So I'm sure I can
You
tell.
tell your wife everything, you know.
Yeah, I'm sure I can tell an Israelite how to do it.
Yeah, mate. Come on, let's get on with this, right? Okay, let's get on with this, man. Well, after that very good result against Blackburn Rovers, it was Grimsby's last away match of the season. and it was against Oldham Athletic. And after a very, very good journey up there, which I won the quiz, we saw a very good game, Joe.
Yeah, it was a very good game. The quiz was fixed. These people had done the quiz a fortnight before. I was not happy about it. But to get back to the game, Grimsby started very well. It was a much changed team through injuries and what have you. We had a very good start. Gary Lund scored, and the game went from there. But it seemed to me after about 25 minutes that we lost all our cohesion, and we didn't seem to be in the game at all after that. And it was only a matter of time before all of them actually came back and won it.
And of course, the game will be more noted, Joe, for the goalmouth incident than the actual football match.
Yeah, it was like a barroom brawl, wasn't it? Really. Nigel had one of his sillies on again, where he dived on top of somebody. But apart from that, you know, the game wasn't a classic, I wouldn't have said, but a disappointing one for us to finish on after how well we'd done previously.
Nigel won't be pleased with that.
I don't care.
He reckons he was trying to help.
Dude, I'm not fucking trying to help when you're late with somebody from 24 yards.
Right, ready?
Yeah.
And so, to the last game of the season. I don't like that. And so, to the last game of the season. Chelsea. If Chelsea win, what? I know what I want to say, I'm trying to say something. And so to the last game of the season, Chelsea. Chelsea needing to win to go as champions. And Joe, if they did win, which they fucking did, what am I trying to say? Come on, help me, I'm trying to say, it'd be this 2 years on a trot that Grimsby would have sent up the champions in the last game of the season. Oh, would you like them to mention that?
Yeah.
Right, okay.
Well.
And so it was the last game of the season, and it was against Chelsea. And unfortunately I was in Spain, so I couldn't watch the game. But what kind of game was it? Nah, fucking hell. It wasn't a classic, was it?
No.
And so to the last game of the season against Chelsea. Unfortunately I was in Spain, so I couldn't watch it live, but apparently, Joe, I didn't miss a classic.
No, it was a very disappointing game. For weeks, possibly months, it had been built up that it was going to be the game that both teams could be fighting out for promotion. As it happened, for the second year in the trot, last match of the season, the champions of the second division played at Grimsby. The game itself was very disappointing from our point of view. I don't think we ever really played in the game. The game was only memorable really for the goal. Pat Nevin did ever so well to get to the byline, crossed it for Kerry Dixon to head a tremendous goal past Nigel, and then for Pat Nevin to be involved again missing the penalty, or rather not missing the penalty but a tremendous save by Nigel. Apart from that, the game never really reached the heights that we'd expected of it, and you wouldn't have thought that the two teams performing on the pitch that day were two teams that were actually in the top 5 of the second division.
Well, I saw the video after the game, and the thing that impressed me most of all was the police operation after the match, I thought, which was absolutely tremendous.
Yeah, it was a very professional job that. I watched it from the end of the park, and I got the whole view of it. And I've never seen so many people running scared when those horses come on. And then a few of them thought they were being very clever by sneaking past the horses, only to walk into the dogs. Yeah, so I thought it was very good and
absolutely full marks for the police.
Oh, tremendous! And actually, it helped as well with Chelsea winning on the day. I mean, really, we were only playing for our pride that day. But I think if we had won, and the Chelsea fans could have caused quite a lot of damage to the ground and the town, I think the right result came about on the day.
All right. So I can be looking at the programme. I'm going to do it for your thing. Right?
Okay, mate.
With me today is Joe Waters, the captain of Grimsby Town, and sadly it looks as if this is going to be Grimsby. With me today is Joe Waters, the Grimsby Town captain. And Grimsby Town, having their best season for 30 odd years, have very sadly decided that Joe can move, which I'm sure that you find very fucking disappointing, because that was a fucking terrible introduction. I could have said, I don't want you to fuck up for me, wouldn't I?
You wouldn't have got that much of that.
I'll try and get into it, and I can I'll try and...
Yeah. Tell him the wisdom of said account authority.
With me today is Joe Waters, the captain of Grimsby Town. And Grimsby Town have had their finest season for over 30 years. And Joe, it must have been a great honour to be the leader.
Yes, it was. It looked at one stage as if we were going to actually go through and make the first division. After a very bad start, we got it all together and sorted our away form at Derby where we won 2-1. And from then on, we went on a tremendous run. Very disappointing, probably in the last 10 matches from our point of view. I think that's when we lost it. And certainly the last 6, if we'd picked up another 6 points from those games, then we would have been in the first division now.
When did you think, Joe, that Grimsby really had a good outfit? Because, you know, we struggled for a couple of seasons and, you know, this season was something different.
I always thought we had a good outfit. Even last season, we went to the top of this second division last season at Middlesbrough, and we were playing very well, although the system was different then. What we probably needed was a little bit more discipline, and probably in the defensive area, especially centre half, we've always been vulnerable. I believe that you've got to have a good centre half to have a good team, and this year with Chris coming, his contribution was excellent really in terms of organisation. You know, he organised the back four very well. Of course we changed our system, which helped a bit. We were very difficult to beat, but in the finish what let us down was the fact that we couldn't win matches at crucial times.
Which do you think was the turning point where Grimsby, you know, where you looked in the dressing room and everybody was looking around and saying, we've got a chance for a promotion, we are a good side?
I think there were 2 games really to me that showed the character of the team and the ability of the team. There was a Chelsea match away when we went 2-0 down, and we were playing really well on that particular day, and it was a travesty for us to go down 2-0, but we battled back and we eventually won the game 3-2. And then of course Sheffield Wednesday, just after that we played them here and we played them off the park. Everyone was telling us that these were super fit Wednesday and that they do 10-mile runs every week. We don't do 10-mile runs, we don't do even 2-mile runs. We just go and do our training, and our graft in the finish was far superior to theirs. We were a much better team than them on the day, and we won it with a tremendous goal.
Yeah, I agree. Now, in fact, that's one of my highlights of the season, the goal. But towards the end, I remember Malcolm Allison on the television was talking about the 16 probably in for a promotion. And he did say Grimsby are the hardest team to beat of all of them, as you have mentioned. But can they win enough matches? And very sadly, in the last 10, our own form let us down.
Yeah, it was very disappointing really from that point of view. Our problem all the time was actually scoring goals. And it was ironic really that in the Portsmouth match, where we scored 3 goals at home, we lost. The rest of the games, I think we scored on average 1 or 2 goals a game, you know. And it was always my worry that the goals were going to dry up on us, and it proved to be that in the finish.
And also, I remember on an interview which we already have shown, where at Charlton we also scored 3, and in 2 games we'd scored 6 goals and got 1 point.
Yeah, it was very disappointing really that we scored 6 goals, as you say, and gave 7 goals away, which for us was absolutely disastrous. I mean, we had never given that many goals away in 10 matches, not to mind in 2, you know. And it was a game, or 2 games for me, that I started thinking maybe we are just losing our discipline a little bit.
And of course, over the last, what was it, 6 or 8 games, of course you received that back injury and also a leg injury, I believe, wasn't it?
Yeah, well, the last probably 2 months of the season were my worst period really. I broke my nose in a Links Cup match at Boston, and I played 2 games after that, and I got a kick in the back, which was very severe.
Yes.
The bruising was terrible. And then, of course, at Sheffield Wednesday, I twisted my ankle, and I'm still not right from that, which is 9 weeks later. So it was hard for me having to sit it out and watch the lads battling to try and get us in the first division and not being able to help them.
But of course, towards your injury, Dave decided to play you at right back. Right back's always been a problem for Grimsby, I think, for the last few seasons actually. But I think we lost a bit of midfield when you went there.
Well, the gaffer asked me if I would mind playing at right back. He tried young Andy Moore, who hadn't had a particularly good game at Brighton. He tried him then, and he decided that he'd lost a little bit in the right back position. He tried Mickey Spate at Leeds, and Mick hadn't really impressed him that much to let him do it again. So I was his last resort really.
Like Lee thought.
Yeah. And he asked me if I would mind playing there, and I said, well, certainly I'll give it a go. See what it was like, because it was only Mick coming into midfield for me, kind of thing. So that was a straight swap. And we won. We won 2 of the games that I played. Then, of course, the Sheffield Wednesday match, and we were holding our own in that match. And I got injured after 20 minutes or something like that, and had to go off. But unfortunately, lost to a dubious penalty.
That's right. It was a shocking decision by the ref. What I remember talking to Big Chris once about you playing right back, it was nothing, particular. It was just a conversation, and he said, "You're the bloke who organises him."
Well, yeah, I'm good. I'm good like that. I say it's one of my strengths that I can organise people around me. And when I went into the back 4, it was a thing that when you're playing offside, you have to have somebody who dictates to the other people when to hold and when to let people run and what have you. And when I went in there, I found that it was an easy thing to do. As long as you shout and make yourself heard, then they'll do it. And it just carried on from there.
It possibly all Chris as well, who was because apparently you was telling me that the other 3 didn't shout.
No, that's the one thing about our back 4. They're good players and very steady players, but they're very quiet. And to organise somebody, you've got to be able to make yourself heard. And people say, "Oh, look at him shouting again." But if you don't do it, then people make mistakes.
That's right.
It's a thing that I hope we don't lose, because it's very important at set pieces, and as I say, in the back 4 when you're in play, that people are talking, and talking is a very important part of the game.
Is there any thing you would like to take away with you, memories of this season? Which particular incident, anything?
The particular incident from my point of view, I always remember, is when I backheeled that ball to Paul Wilkinson in the Sheffield Wednesday match. That to me was very special.
It was a great run from midfield as well.
I took the ball from the edge of our own box and played it to Trevor and continued my run. And Trevor played a good ball back to me. And I could have either taken it on or try and do what I did. And I decided to try and backheel it to Paul Wilkinson, which came off on the day, and Paul stuck the ball away in the back of the net.
Well, if we just hold it there, we'll let them have a look at it. Well, Joe, that was certainly.
Too tight.
Yeah. Look, I want to make out as if we're both looking at the screen, right? Okay. As if we're both
just
looking.
Then, yeah.
Put it right down, right?
Then you're going to speak.
Then I'm going to put my head up. Well, Joe, that was really some goal, that one.
Yeah, as I say, it worked well right from the start. As you can see, the ball was headed out. I got onto it, took it over the half.
Cool, you fucking said all that.
Yeah. You don't want to go into that?
Don't do it again.
Why mention it then?
Just say, just say I'm pleased with that.
Yeah, it was nice to see again.
Yeah.
Right. Something like that,
right. So we're looking at the screen again.
Yeah.
Give it a few seconds looking at the screen.
Well, that was certainly some goal, Joe.
Yeah, as I said, it's one that I remember.
Yeah. Is there any other thing in the season that you'd like to, memory?
Well, obviously, as I said earlier, the Chelsea match was one that was a tremendous one from our point of view because it lifted the town. Everybody was talking about it for weeks afterwards.
Cool.
No, you haven't got it.
Hey?
You haven't got it, have you?
No, apart from me, got it. I don't want to go into matches. I want personal things from you, little touches you did or something, even if it was going to any fucking thing.
Yeah.
So you're sending a message back home to the folks.
Yeah. Right. Okay.
So you don't mention anything you've mentioned before.
Right. Okay.
Look at the screen again.
It's running.
Well, that was certainly a great goal, Joe.
Yeah, it's one that we'll remember for a while, I think.
I hope so, yeah. My personal memory of pissing was going so fucking well as well. Just thought something, right? Go on. We're looking at the screen. Yeah, that was certainly a great goal, that one, Joe.
Yeah, it was. It's one that I remember my part in for a long while to come, I think.
Well, my personal memento from the season, regarding you, of course, is that wonderful, I was going to say twice taken penalty, but of course it wasn't. It was 2 penalties in a minute.
Yeah, it was funny that because when I took the first penalty, it was actually my first touch of the match, and I took it, struck the ball well, but it was badly placed. It was halfway up,
yeah.
Of course, goalkeeper stopped it. And then, of course, I hadn't had a touch again. Well, a minute later, we get another penalty.
Can I just interrupt and ask you about this, because I've seen it so many times on video, was that when you place the ball actually rolled on the spot, off the spot. And what I'd like to know is, did you ever think about not taking a penalty? What did you think about when a ball rolled off the spot?
No, I never actually thought of not taking it.
No.
I muttered a bit under my breath when we actually got the second penalty.
Drinky reckons he volunteered.
Yeah, Drinky says, well, do you want me to take it? And I said, no, because I wouldn't give him anything anyway, He'd just be too glad to take him off me, him. And I put the ball down and I thought, well, test your bottle here, see if you've got a character. I put it down and I walked back to the edge of the 18-yard line, turned around, and the ball rolled off the spot. So I thought, I need this like a hole in the head, so I've got to walk up, replace the ball, and then take the penalty. And as luck would have it, I stuck it away in the bottom corner, which is what I meant to do with the first one.
But it was a really great test of character, I thought, because I had Keith Hanvey up there with me, and he was willing you to lose. And I thought it was a great thing. Let's have a look at that one. Got an early fucking bottle left, didn't I? Well, there it was, Joe. Oh, fuck you.
It was just you, go on.
Well, that certainly was. I must stop doing that. Fucking noddy,
Yes, hurry up.
Yeah, I know, yeah. I'm going to go now. Well, there it was, Joe.
Yeah, I won't forget that one.
I won't forget that either, because that was a lousy.
I won't remember. I won't forget that one.
Well, that certainly was a test of character, that one, Joe.
Yeah, but we came through in the finish, didn't we?
Yeah, we did. Well, it's a pity we're not going to be in the first division, Joe, next year, and it's also a great pity that you won't be playing for Grimsby Town. Have you any thoughts on that?
Obviously, I'm very sad about it, but it's a thing that the club and the wisdom have decided they can't afford me. So, from an economic point of view, that's it. I accept what they say. Luckily enough, in the meantime, I've had some pretty good offers from various places. So it's a new phase of my career, and it might do me some good.
Well, it's true. I mean, some players go on, they can go on too long with the club and not play to the best of their ability. And I'm sure you've got quite a number of good years left in you, and a new club and a new area might even bring the best out of you again.
Well, it's a new challenge. And something that I'm looking forward to. I try not to lose my ties with Grimsby. I've got a couple of things. I might be going to America, which if I do, then it would mean that I can live in Grimsby 4 months of the year, so I'll still be around here. But if I go to any of the English clubs that are interested, then I would think it would mean I'd have to move to there eventually.
Yeah, but 8 years here, Joe, and played under many managers, played with many players. I remember you telling me the first time you saw the club you didn't even want to stop, you wanted to turn the car around.
That's right, yeah.
Have you got just one incident or one thing to remind us of what it's like to be a Grimsby Town player?
It's very difficult. We're going back over 8.5 years. So many things have happened to us. We've had so many good seasons. Every season since I've been here, we've had to fight for something. It's either been against relegation or it's either been promotion. It's never been a dull middle of the table season for us.
Which is the best?
Which season was the best?
No, which is best, relegation or promotion?
I think promotion.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, you tend to get a few grey hairs, the old relegation threat, especially if you go to the last match of the season. But I would think probably the best memories I have are of the League Cup run when we played Everton and Wolves, Notts County. That was tremendous. And of course that season we had so many good memories. I mean, we took 5,000 people to Chesterfield with us. We were 3-0 up in 20 minutes. Had Kevin Moore sent off and then ended up like the Alamo, holding out and won 3-2. Sheffield United last match of the season when we won 4-0 to win the championship was another great day for us. But I think if I was to pick the highlight of them all, it was the night we beat Everton 2-1 here. That was a tremendous achievement for us and really put us on the map nationally.
But all in all, Joe, you've got some very, very fond memories of Grimsby.
Oh yeah, I've had a few really happy memories of this place. Personal memories, like goals I've scored. One against Huddersfield where I went through from the halfway line. Same against Sheffield United. Did that a couple of times where I scored within 2 minutes of the kick-off in the FA Cup. Against Cambridge I scored in 10 seconds, something like that, 8 seconds, straight from the kick-off. So I've had some tremendous times.
Of course, you got your international caps here.
Yes, I did. I won my 2 international caps for while I was here.
Scoring with a
tremendous shot, come cross, come something else. But we won't go into that.
Because we haven't got it on video anyway.
Yeah. But I've had tremendous times here, and hopefully I'll have happy times at my other clubs. But I don't think I'll ever be as happy as I was here.
But you must have fucked some women in it, Sam.
I